Also, hello, Internet. Hey, Jared. Jared, you're here next week, right?
Yes.
I've got Alan Stern on next week.
Okay.
I feel like you would be the best interviewer for that one, for like New Horizons and Pluto. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Sure. Is that like confirmed? Because I remember that was on our calendar, but I don't.
It's the step right before absolutely confirmed.
Gotcha.
So
Cool.
he's definitely like, yep, just making sure. So I just want to make sure that that's
Okay.
when we bring it up in the show. We're good with that.
Yes.
You're here. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm like totally jazzed about doing it.
Cool. All right, we've been. Wait, hang on. Now, oh, don't rip. I can't have an earpiece. It's not going to work in here, and they need all of the good packs for the people on the show.
Okay.
So what I do want to do. Let's see here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Whoa, that's trippy. I can hear myself through. Yeah, we're gonna do that. I'll shut that door for the show. Now I'll be able to hear the show in real time. Yeah, sorry everyone. I didn't realize I was muted. So I was saying a whole bunch of things to you, and you couldn't hear me, and it was amazing. But right now you get a view of the observation lounge with no one on it. I am not on the show this week, but Athena is. She is me. We are 20 minutes away from the show. We're just like extra early today, so I figured, we'll turn it on. You guys can watch a little bit about behind the scenes of us like setting stuff up and going and things. Let's see here. It was funny because there was conversation of Alan Stern in the chat room, which actually, who is our guest for next week. We were just confirming via email that we'll have Alan Stern on. So that's actually going to be pretty awesome. We'll be talking New Horizons and Pluto. And I needed to, oh yeah, I need to update the rundown. Ah! Boopy-doo. Boopy-doo. Boop. Yay, rundown's updated. Give that a little approve. No dying, Jared. Whoa.
Is that a space mic?
I can hear
space mic
Dud
with
in here
Tina's.
too. Oh wait, but I can't see. Oh man, I can't see the multi-view.
Oh.
Oh, this makes me sad. I have to watch the program like mere mortals. I don't know how I'm gonna. Well, I want to see all of the things.
No, you can't.
All right, I have to be very careful. I can't get too close to the system where I'll get feedback. You're recording now.
Thank you.
On the 4 gig drive, because I'm an idiot, left the 1 gig drive at home.
Womp womp.
Yep. Rambling Professor says, my feed keeps going not live. Is that happening to anyone else? Let me look at Core. How's Core? Core says I'm healthy. Looks live back in the control room.
You wouldn't know it because what's on screen isn't moving.
Manisan, I don't know, even Starman in the space looked kind of fake. You know, it did, I mean, it wasn't, but it did. It was absolutely incredible.
Space mic. Are you here? Can you give me some audio? Your audio is breaking up. It's breaky uppy.
Everything. Let's see here.
Oh, that sounds better. What'd you do?
Nothing.
Lies.
Testing. Is it still getting good audio, or is it still breaking up?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Why are they both ears?
What's that?
I don't know. Never mind. Never mind.
Ow! Damn it!
Jared, language.
Just always mute Jared.
Can we get...
Oh, you need name banners.
I need Athena on,
Yeah,
channel 4.
On channel 4.
Mike's? Guest mic?
Oh. Can someone hand her a microphone? I'm working your nameplates now. Signed out of cloud.
What's up? What are we doing?
Where are they?
It's literally sitting right next to her.
Name banner. Oh God, you need all of the things. I can give you any of these.
Yeah, what have you
schmanky.
been doing?
Well, I've been talking to the internet, but actually not talking to the internet, which is hilarious. Name banner coming up over 11. Okay.
So you were talking to yourself and nobody was listening?
That's
Yeah.
basically
Which is kind
how
of
it
normal.
always
It's,
goes.
very,
yes.
very normal.
Team drives now. So I realize that the internet can't see this and it doesn't actually impact the internet, but we moved how the show works and where all the media is located got moved for this show to hopefully streamline everything. So like everything I normally do is broken. Might be, yeah. You know, we should put thingies on those. Coming up, orbit 11.
Dada,
Yes.
that was a brand new battery. Because I wasn't sure if
Interesting.
Ben and guest was Ben and all the other fun things.
This is episode 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send to export. Where's export? Export to the switcher. All right. Episode numbers updated. Name banner single. Oh man, I'm getting a headache. Normally I am the headache, so it's a little bit
I was
weird
just
for
going to
me.
say, having to listen to yourself for that long will give anybody a headache.
Oh, self-owned.
Oh, I need to tweet the... Jesus, I am just a hot mess today.
Yeah, we know that we're on. Don't worry.
Athena, I've forgotten your... No, never mind. It's Astro Athens, just kidding. I've not forgotten. I've not forgotten.
Are you doing okay?
Oh, hey, Athena
need
has an
somebody else
IFB.
to do your job?
Did anyone give Athena her IFB? Like her proper...
Sincerely, no offense, what have you been doing?
I've been actually working on the show.
I forgot to tell you that.
Been...
What's this? Oh, the thing. Okay. The thing. Oh wait, I don't know.
Cool.
What am I missing?
All right. Dada, you should have...
If you can't remember which ear it is, blue is left ear, red is right ear.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's right.
Dada, you should have name banners now? Question mark?
Dada doesn't have ears. What did you say?
He should have name banners now.
Perfect. Thank you. We're not fighting. We're just simply disagreeing on, usage of time.
We're disagreeing on the fundamental chronological nature of everything.
Time is not linear.
I'm missing so much because I'm usually sitting down and I have ears.
10 minutes.
Right.
Like everybody else has,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
It's okay.
I'm having all of the,
Hey, welcome to my world.
yeah.
Your world's
Hey.
amazing because I'm in it.
Guess what's getting installed like 2 blocks from my house?
Oh, crap, I need a tweet. Where's the Twitters?
A supercharger.
I'm like,
Downey
there's
Space
so
Shuttle.
many options here.
What?
Downey Space Shuttle.
No, that would require political will, which there is none of. So.
Come here. I don't know
What?
why
What's
this
up?
always happens to you.
Is it my shirts?
No, it can't possibly be your shirts. Your shirts and my shirts are nearly identical. There, stay.
Okay, Jared has a mic?
I do. Is it on though?
It is.
I hear you.
Is it live?
in both ears.
It
Where's
is.
it Memorex?
You're too young to remember that.
Huh?
You're too young to remember that.
No, I remember burning songs to Memorex CDRs back in the day. So.
Oh God, CDRs.
Yeah, but
Remember jazz drives and zip drives?
oh my god.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, jazz and zip drives.
Yep.
I think I still have a zip disk.
The
somewhere at
fastest
home.
way to lose all of your media is to put it on a jazz or a zip drive. And corrupted.
One of my first big tasks on my own at a workplace was moving all of the fonts from zip drives to a network drive.
Odd.
I think there were like 140,000 different fonts.
Did anyone here have like a Commodore 64?
Yes.
My brother did.
Load quote star dot star quote comma 8 comma 1.
What is that?
That would load whatever program was on your floppy at an address of 8 first integer. Which was the main address.
You're a nerd.
So that like whenever you were loading something from a Commodore 64, that was almost always the command you would run.
Vax still has a Commodore 64.
Who does?
Vax.
Of
Oh
course
my
Vax
God,
would.
Vax! I need, yeah. Yeah.
You put space 1107 in the wrong lower third slot. It's supposed to go number 2.
Where did I put it?
You put it in. You put it where I would have. You put it at the end of Carrie Ann. What is that?
Whoa.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That got pushed back a little bit.
You put
Oh
it
my
in
God!
slot
I
8.
understand what happened. I'm sorry. Hang on. 1107.
Can I go?
Now?
Yes. Thank you.
No.
It's funny. I was just thinking about that
I have to
earlier
go to the
today.
moon.
I was like, we need to put these into Casper somehow.
That's a normal sentence.
Well, you know.
Just FYI.
Yep.
By the way, if you had a second floppy drive on your Commodore 64, it'd be load quote star dot star quote comma 9 comma 1.
I'm glad you remember that.
Did you approve things, or do I need
Hey,
to
you want to know
approve
stuff he
things?
doesn't remember?
Your anniversary?
Oh, do
birthday?
I want to tread down this?
No, you don't. You really don't.
Ben, just remember, you're right. That's a very good sentence to use. Just remember, I'm sorry.
You set that up incorrectly. All he heard was that he was right.
That is exactly what I heard.
Suck on it.
Base Mike, I need in the rundown a
blew it.
image or visual for your cold open, please.
I blew it.
Okay. Stand by.
I really blew it.
7 minutes out.
You're not the only one.
Working on some images right now for topic as well.
Man of Sand, that Commodore 64 drive was lousy. It overheated all the time. Yeah, and like the element that would press down on it would go bad over time. So when you were loading things off the floppy, you would actually have to press down on the front of it in order to get it to load. It's kind of like the old blowing on a cartridge for a Nintendo,
Jordan.
but this time it actually did something.
Jordan.
What?
Oh, no. We didn't go live too early. Ben decided that he needed to talk to the internet, even though his mic was muted. So then we all decided that our mics should not be muted. And so therefore, you're listening to us do the same stuff we do every single day when we hang out.
I thought it'd be fun for you guys to see like what happens
They're
behind
not
the scenes.
seeing anything.
No, I know they're seeing it. Can you go to a shot that isn't this? You can go to the. You can go to the.
Go to
control
camera 3.
room.
Go to camera 3. Damn it! There you go. See, it's so much better.
Thanks.
You said a shot that wasn't this.
I hate you all.
Dang it.
I mean,
Toby Toby, we actually follow all chats. We have a main chat room at chat.tmro.tv, and it pulls in everything from YouTube, from our main chat room, and from Twitch.
Athena, can I get you to do a mic check, please?
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello. I'm going to talk about space and, yeah, other stuff. And I don't want to spoil it because I think this is online. So are we? Am I not? Is it just you? Okay. Should I keep my mic on?
Yes, keep your mic on.
Okay.
I will control mic volume on off.
Okay, great.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
I should. Hold on.
Everyone can figure out that we have the integrated chat, as I have a tendency to answer people that are not in the integrated chat in the integrated chat, and then they can't actually see what's going on. And it confuses everybody who's in the one chat room because I'm talking to somebody that they can't see, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but you're a live video show. You should just say what you're saying, and then everyone can hear it, and you can
Yeah,
answer
but
the question.
sometimes I can't because it's not actually on topic.
Shouldn't you? Okay.
Yes, I should always be on topic. The chat room should always be on topic, and every chat room should always be on topic.
But there was that time they were talking about vegans, so.
Thank you. Exactly.
What?
Or somebody complimented my shoes, and I wanted to say thank you, but I wasn't going to stop in the middle of like the comment slate to go. And I know my shoes are awesome. Anyway, Dariachi says.
I don't know. I feel like that would be hilarious.
Well, to be fair, that's not exactly when that comment came through. Slash, when I'm reading the comment, I'm reading the comment, not the chat room. Maybe wear better shoes and somebody would compliment you on them.
I have awesome shoes. I have Epcot shoes.
Or wear shorts, and the internet will get mad at you.
There's always that.
So
Definitely an option.
They just got mad because they could see all the way up them.
Gross.
I got a compliment on my fanny pack. That was fun.
Yeah, Mike is concentrating very hard on that laptop. There's some.
Get us some more media for the topic. We only have
enhance.
One or two things in here, so
Enhance.
forgive me for trying to make things better.
Can you concentrate on getting something in the open?
The cold open is being uploaded into Google Drive right now.
Copy.
A pic from me for cold open.
Thanks.
As soon as this is finished uploading, I will be able to link it in the rundown. That's the concentration
On the laptop.
on the laptop.
Carrie Ann, did I tell you I found my key?
No.
Yeah, I
Your
was at
key
the
to, the key you lost because
Yeah,
cool.
the car key. Yeah, I was at the studio the whole time.
I don't understand why.
I don't either. I don't know how I did that.
You must have used Carrie Ann as an accomplice.
No, because if I was going to hide that key, it would not be here.
Well, no. How would he have gotten in the car and moved somewhere if the key was
His phone.
sitting? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
So, Man of Sand said Space Mike is the engineering red shirt. His console will blow up soon. I will say, I've been watching. I bought the entire Star Trek original series, and I've been watching it like before bed, like 1 or 2 episodes every night. And the
You've been
number
watching
of
the original
times-
series?
What?
You've been watching the original series?
Yeah, not the original series, the Next Generation. I'm sorry.
Just checking.
And the number of times that those consoles explode is staggering.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because they're touchscreen. And every time that there's turbulence, what do? They put their hands on their freaking consoles. Do you have any idea how many buttons they hit when they put their entire hands on their touchscreen consoles? You, of course, you're going to blow something up because you hit 87 things at the same time.
I feel like if I press my hand on my iPad, the iPad doesn't explode.
Well,
but in the
you
future,
don't live in the future, do you?
Okay, well.
In the future, apparently, if I
If you
press
put
my
the
hand
right
on an
combination,
iPad,
it's sort of like the alarm system. If you put just the right code in, then it suddenly calls the police. So you put your entire palms, 2 palms, on your touchscreen, then that says, "Danger, Will Robinson," and it blows up.
apparently it does.
Why is the processing power and all of the battery source and explosive thingies right surface deep on the touchscreen?
You have to hide them somewhere,
Also-
Dada, seriously.
Also, what I don't understand is why are the doors of the future worse than the doors of the present?
They're not.
They are. They're louder.
just as good.
They're worse. They're like.
No, okay, that's the other thing. Keep in mind, they are electric. And as you know, by driving an electric car, you can possibly hit somebody because they can't hear you coming. At least when the doors open, you know that they're opening or closing because they make a noise.
No, those have to be pneumatic.
I was going to say they can't be electric.
doors go.
Because you're laughing so hard.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay.
Pneumatic
but my
doors
car
go
really should sound like a Jetsons car, so at least somebody knows that I'm around.
Y'all are a bunch of dorks talking about this.
That would be amazing.
I'm just throwing this out there.
I almost got hit the other day by an electric car because I didn't hear it.
Who decided that we need to have pneumatic doors on a starship? What kind of sense does that make?
How do you know that they're pneumatic?
You can hear them.
How do you know that
They
that's...
just assign that noise to them.
Pressurized, though. I mean, they are in space. Each section needs to be, you know, sealed off.
They're obviously electric doors.
I'm not convinced they're electric doors.
All right, cool. Prove it. Go.
So-
They're linear induction motor doors.
Well, because that's
They have a
different
bunch
than an
of-
electric door
They,
somehow?
they have a bunch of magnets all over the place.
Children, do I need to turn the spaceship around?
We ready for this show?
I don't know. That's
waiting
the
on Space
question.
Mike.
You're talking about pneumatic doors.
I have a cold open image uploaded into the drive, but it's not loading in rundown creator. Just waiting for it to refresh.
And my throat's toast. Again. Great.
Killian57, we are talking about Star Trek for some reason as
I'm
we're
not
waiting to
getting
get ready to
updates
start the
in
show.
the chat. Oop, well, I just lost the chat.
No, chat is going to be stable today.
Sure.
Well, I
for
got
everyone
kicked.
but Jared, you understand that. I think because you press too hard on that damn thing. I think that's how you
Is he
break your
pressing his
computers.
palm on all the buttons
Yes,
at once?
both palms. That's exactly what I'm saying.
What? Maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe that's one of the things that we're missing realism on our set is that we need to have our computers randomly explode when you press them too hard.
Jared's first. His already did explode.
Mine
He's the third
exploded a
freaking
couple
computer
weeks
he's
ago.
had
I don't-
on this show.
I do not need my
No.
new one to explode.
No, I mean literally explode, causing a fatality. That's what happens in
Can I
Star
not
Trek.
Dude,
be
as soon
around
as we
when
have
that happens?
turbulence, fine.
May I please not be around when that
No,
happens?
that's not how this works.
Also, this was not made by Samsung, so it's not going to explode.
No, I mean that's 50-50. Not made by Samsung.
Batteries apparently aren't the only reason electronic things explode.
Sometimes bricks explode.
Yeah, if you hit them just right.
How we doing, Space Mike?
The image, the cold open image is uploaded into the drive, but it's not loading in rundown creator yet. I'm just waiting for it to refresh and appear in the list of insertable
I'm
images.
laughing so hard.
Unless you guys can try.
Sorry,
What is your image?
Final
I'm sure electrical things explode.
Replacement
so-
EVA cold open.
Oh no, I opened up a can of worms.
.07.
Wait, say again?
It's in the news folder for 11.07.
What's it called?
Final hand replacement EVA.
Negative.
Cold open.
Negative.
Final hand EVA cold open .png.
Yeah, I heard you. I'm not seeing it.
Not seeing it in rundown or not seeing it in drive.
I'm not seeing it in rundown.
Yeah, me neither.
Just manually add it, assuming it's showing up on the Casper. Carrie Ann does need a command share. That'd be kind
No,
of
I
awesome.
do not. Because all that would happen is you would just either sit on my lap or you would just bump me from my chair.
Both of those would be hilarious. Tobiage is rehosting us on Twitch, so thank you very much.
I thought we were already on Twitch.
Is rehosting us on Twitch on his channel.
Copy, thank you.
Thanks.
Smokey Dirk says we need 2 co-captain chairs, like on Orville. That's fine as long as my chair's bigger.
As soon as I get a divorce. What, you said just like Orville.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh, Lars. Hey, is that a short joke? Eric James says I need a command high chair.
I mean, you are on an Apple box, so.
Hey, I'm not on two like Lisa.
Yeah, that's true. So that's why I said you're on the Apple box, not boxes.
All right, I think I'm clear. Space Mike, you good?
Hang on 2 seconds here. Just trying to upload just a little bit more into the topic folder.
Dad dog. As long as I can reach the microwave buttons, it doesn't matter anymore.
First, since we're going to be talking about that a lot. Okay.
Oh, I'll never forget the time I thought I was going to be kicked out of the family on the spot.
My family?
Yes. I'm this tall. Jared's just tall though. Like that's not my
Yeah,
fault.
I am a tall person.
Like-
So, hold on.
Even better. Wait, stand up on it. The time that we were at dinner and the patriarch of the family was talking about microwaving his hot chocolate, and I asked if he could actually hit those buttons.
That could have gone either way,
The whole
and the
family,
whole family
went silent for a second until said patriarch actually laughed. But it took a second. It was one of those like really deep, sort of red-faced kind of belly laughs, which was fantastic. But there was definitely an entire second's worth of "I'm dead" going through my head, and it wasn't until the man of the house laughed out loud that the rest of the family sort of calmed down.
It was a bit like a movie, right?
Nervously
Where the
laughing.
emperor starts to laugh and then everyone else starts to laugh.
Yeah, that's exactly how it felt. It was like the whole family kind of like stopped and looked
Is this okay?
and waited.
Is this okay?
And yeah, I was pretty sure I was dead meat.
Space Mike.
Yes.
Is that you that added all the stuff down below education from 10 million to 0 in the topic?
Not notes-wise. I was adding media into the drive folder.
I see a bunch of open empty brackets, but no more media.
Where is this in the main topic?
Yeah.
I don't know what those empty brackets are.
I think those are just notes. That's so.
Yeah, I see how.
Is it breaking the? Is it breaking integration?
No, it's not breaking. The brackets end up on one side and the notes end up on the other. But Mike said he added a
You're
bunch of
6'2"?
media to topic, and I'm not
You're
seeing.
6'2".
6'3", 191 centimeters.
Do you have it on the server?
I don't know.
I think that was my bad.
No, Athena, it's fine. We're just
brackets
confused.
are fine, but
I
Mike
didn't need
says
them anyway.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 topic images, but there's no tags in the rundown to serve them, so integration doesn't work. Automation doesn't work.
Yeah, just drag and drop them over from Casper.
I want some shapes. So, but we're about to do the show. So.
No dying.
Gosh.
Yeah, we're told that we have a sync issue, an audio sync issue.
I wish I brought not mine. I have really good like
Audio sync issue?
homeopathic.
Is anyone else having an audio sync issue, or is it just William?
I've seen comments like that like the whole time we've been live. This is Capsule Manufacturing. I'll see if I can find a link for you.
Kitty, is your audio to video synced?
I don't know because I have audio.
Having a whole bunch of non-issues on
All right. Sounds like we're fine. Anyone who does have an audio sync issue, try refreshing your browser, making sure you don't have multiple streams open. Dutta, if you're ready, start the show.
I'm having Dante issues too.
What's up?
You alright?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just short of breath.
Okay.
So it's difficult. So
For sure.
I guess we'll find out at the end of the show.
Incredible. Where is the Black Magic single link thingy? The single link to change it to, from dual link to single link.
What's up? My feed is not.
I can't. Nothing's playing on.
You shouldn't need to do that
It's the Sukhoi
Well,
company.
cool.
Sukhoi aircraft.
Was it working and now it's not? Oh, you're frozen. That's why.
So for Sukhoi, I think that's how you
Open up Casper server,
sure.
and what does it say?
Play failed.
Close Casper server. Try reopening it. You gotta wait for it to load.
No match found for supplied commands. Check syntax. Turn on log level debug for syntax.
It means it can't find the media. Show me the Google Drive. I
I mean, this was all working, right? That all looks correct, right?
So what was up with that?
Mm-hmm.
Was he looking for
Yeah, if you
something?
play it directly.
No, just wondering what was up.
Check syntax. Get out of automation. Drag something over there manually. See what it does.
Okay. What's up? Okay.
Roll that. Close your client. Reopen your client.
I'm not getting updates. Oh. I guess.
Try basic command before you go into automation. Reboot the computer.
Hi everyone, last minute issue with Casper. I mean, to be clear, when did it stop working?
I don't know. I didn't have a rundown from anybody to be able to run through the entire show. There was nothing in the rundown when I got here.
Right.
If I was going to describe the James Webb
All
Space
right.
Telescope through
So,
dance, I'd just
here's
throw
the deal,
dollars
everyone.
up.
We haven't been able to make timing, so we tried pushing it so that due dates were an hour before the show. That doesn't seem to be working, so I need to push them back to the day before the show.
Okay.
So all media is now due at a 10 p.m. Pacific time the day before the show.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We cannot have a repeat of this. Yeah, don't. You got to wait for Casper to open.
I think the SLS dance would be exactly the same as the James Webb dance. So I'll bet the SLS dance would. No, I'm not going to say that out loud. So.
Yeah, let's hold on that. Let's just get Casper running for now.
Interesting. Press any key to continue. Open up that. Go to your. I need my computer. I'm sorry. Go to your Finder or your Explorer. Copy that. Go up here. I need to see the full path. G, Team Drives, TMRO Studios, Live Media. Go backwards, directory. You're too deep. I need that directory. Casper's, close all of the associated Casper stuff. Yeah. Open up C drive. Casper 2.1 beta 2 server.
That's a good one, Game a lot. I like
Server
that one.
folder. Casper CG, that one right there. One up. Nope, close that. Wait, hold on. Ah, yes. Okay, so Casper was open prior to the drive being available. Cool. Open up your client now. Now
Thanks,
that that's
Colton.
ready, now you can open up Media Rundown Uploader. You have all three. Now you can open up the cool load automation. What's the error?
Oh, ow.
All right, let me sneak in.
Oh, Lars. I pretend I can see it. Does that count?
Okay, I'm not getting anything from the chat room.
All right. Try refreshing again.
There we go. And
All
now
right.
everything just all of a sudden comes in. So,
Are you running like a million things, maybe?
maybe.
All right, I've not tested any of this.
Yeah, I closed out my other.
And any updates to Rundown Creator will fail from this moment forward. So you are locked into whatever the show is at this point. That will get you going. We'll do more troubleshooting later.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Welcome to the conversation. I am Carrie Ann, and I will be your host in this first segment of the show. I have with me today a Jared, who is our resident astronomer. I also have a Mike, who is our rocket specialist. And of course, behind us, we have a Dutta, who will be producing the show. Now, today in news...
The little rover that could hits 5,000.
Oh.
And the final robotic hand spacewalk has been completed.
And for our main topic today, we are going to be discussing the ins and outs of the 2018 NASA budget. And then in our last segment, we take a look at all of your questions, comments, concerns, and complaints about last week's show. But this is Tomorrow Orbit 11.07.
Good morning. How's everything up in the sky?
The first things that we like to do at the top of the show is to give a huge thank you to our citizens. These are of the escape velocity variety. These people have given us $10 or more per episode on Patreon or $30 or more a month on makersupport.com. They get their name in all three segments of the show, early access to all the rundown so you can actually see what we're about to talk about before we even say the words, and voting rights on other upcoming roundtable discussions and so much more. If you are interested in becoming a citizen of tomorrow, head on over to patreon.com/TMRO or makersupport.com/TMRO. So, my other favorite thing to do at the top of the show, because it just sort of gets us all sort of in a good mood, is to talk about launches that have happened since last week. And Mike, as our rocket specialist, this is the part that I wholly turn over to you. So what did we possibly miss in the last week?
Well, we had two launches this week, the first of which was a Chinese launch of a Long March 3B rocket, which launched two more of the Beidou navigation satellites into orbit. And this launch was happening on Monday, and it was China's 7th spacewalk of the year so far. Or rather, not spacewalk, but rocket launch of the year so far. Now, this launched on February 12th, again, as I said, on Monday, at 5:03 Coordinated Universal Time from the Xicheng Space Center in China. And the two Beidou navigation satellites are kind of like China's version of GPS or GLONASS satellites. The rocket has 4 liquid strap-on boosters and 4 core stages, and the third stage placed the two Beidou satellites and the Wangzheng upper stage into a preliminary elliptical orbit. The upper stage engine, programmed to place the twin payloads into a circular orbit, placed them around 13,700 miles up, or 22,000 kilometers above Earth, inclined 55 degrees to the equator. Now, there are 29 Beidou satellites in orbit, not all of which are operational, and most of them are in various medium and some in even geostationary Earth orbits. Now, there were some photos that were shared by Chinese social media accounts that showed fragments of the boosters that fell on top of buildings nearby, downrange from the Xichang Space Center. And they were pretty lucky that things didn't get worse or cause more damage. But with using the hypergolic toxic propellants, I'm sure that they had to wait it out at least a little bit, even though they ignore a lot of those safety concerns when it comes to salvaging those boosters. So pretty crazy that that happens.
Yeah, people always ask me, why does it seem like wherever things are launched from, they're launched from like the coasts of America. There's down in Florida, and you're on one coast, and Vandenberg, you're on the other coast, and Wallops is in Virginia. It's on that. It's still, but it's like the coast. Like, why don't we launch things from Denver, for instance? Because it's so much higher, and it's got to be closer to space, and all those sorts of things. And this is one of the things that I tell them. I was like, we don't want to launch over people. Is like first and foremost,
like this to happen.
Yeah, like that's so scary.
Yeah,
that's so scary.
That's why we don't do like equatorial orbits from Vandenberg here in California, because people in Arizona might get slightly perturbed by falling rocket pieces.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
As cool as that might be, I don't want to be killed by a rocket.
Right. We'll move you here before then.
Yes.
In any case, but you said we had 2 launches. So what was the other one?
The other one was a Soyuz launch that was launching the next Progress cargo spacecraft to the International Space Station, and this launch happened on Tuesday. The launch was Tuesday, February 13th at 8:13 Coordinated Universal Time from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan using the Soyuz 2-1A rocket. And apparently the launch was nominal, but there was a 2-day delay to this launch. It was originally intended to launch earlier on Sunday and have a quick 3-hour rendezvous with the space station, but because of the last-minute abort during the countdown, engineers were forced to bypass that and reschedule the launch for Tuesday, and it had to do the 2-day rendezvous maneuver. But the launch was nominal for it, and the robotic cargo capsule was packed with about 3,064 pounds, or 1,390 kilograms of equipment, scientific hardware, food and supplies for the 6-person crew. Plus, they have several, almost 1,000 kilograms of propellant for the station, plus over 420 kilograms of water, as well as some compressed air and compressed oxygen for the filtration system on the station. Now, a few days later, after launch on Thursday, February 15th, the Progress spacecraft, which is officially designated MS-08, docked with the station's Zvezda service module at 10:38 Coordinated Universal Time. And the Progress MS-08 is supposed to remain at the space station until late August, when it will detach and re-enter into the Earth's atmosphere, burning up on descent and carrying several canisters of trash and things that are no longer needed that they can get rid of at the space station. So congratulations to everyone at Roscosmos and NASA who were able to make this launch successful, and is gearing things up for some future launches that are going to be happening and adding some additional modules to the space station. So we'll talk a little bit more on that later, though.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. I was looking at the launch footage, and I saw that the trees had no leaves on them, and somehow my brain didn't connect that it was winter, and that's why the trees looked dead at the same time. When I guess that fireball came out, and I was like, oh man, they killed those trees. That was sad. And then the other thing I was thinking was that I guess I never really take into consideration that fuel needs to be brought up to the International Space Station for them to use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't make that. I mean, obviously, right? But I never thought that all the way through.
With the Zvezda service module, especially, that's what they use. They use the thrusters on board that module to do a lot of the reboost burns that they have to do, so that the orbit doesn't degrade at the space station. And there's still a couple of active attitude control thrusters as well, although they don't use those as often. A lot of times they only use those whenever they need to do some sort of maneuver to avoid some sort of debris that's coming within the safety zones of the space station. Or if they need to they used to reorient the space station a lot in the space shuttle days, so that the space shuttle and the space station could dock with each other, and not have the appropriate angles and everything like that. Right. But they don't need to do as much remaneuvering of the space station for a lot of the visiting vehicles now. So
nice.
But yeah, they still got to transfer that fuel up for as long as we plan on using the space station for.
Cool.
I don't blame you about the winter thing. We don't have winter in California.
Right. I just didn't.
You guys have been in California too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess so, man. Don't tell my family back home in Minnesota.
What's winter?
Oh, what's winter?
Yeah, what is this?
It's when everyone starts to wear red at the same
We
time.
have cactuses here. Trees.
That's true. We're like on terrible representation. Oh, that's amazing. So, Jared, you teased this in the cold open, talking about 500 or 5,000 souls rather. You're going to tell me what a soul is, right?
Yeah. So actually, I learned just a couple days ago. It's actually pronounced Saul. So
Saul.
Don't worry, I was doing it wrong too.
Like not like poor unfortunate souls, but
no, but
Saul like
poor,
Saul Goodman.
Poor a lot of souls, or something like that. And we're actually going to talk about 2 missions that
Fantastic.
are at Mars, because I've tinkered with my Jeep before,
right?
And I know Dutta can basically disassemble and then reassemble a Subaru, and it can run better,
as he probably has many times. Yes.
Yes, but imagine doing a tune-up on your vehicle from several million miles away, and you've got what the engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory have done with Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Now, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, which I will now call MRO from here on out, is well into its 12th year of operation in space. It launched in 2005. It has an impressive suite of instruments that includes a powerful telescopic camera that's helped us establish what quite a lot of Mars' surface is like. It's also acted as a telecom relay for a multitude of missions at the Red Planet, but it's been in need of some work, some maintenance, and some tender loving care. Now, it comes down to the hardware and the effective management of it. MRO's orientation changes near constantly as it orbits Mars, so that way the instruments can be pointed at the surface. And that requires 2 inertial measurement units on board that use built-in gyroscopes and accelerometers to help the flight management system keep a precise idea on where MRO is and where it's pointing. But the time spent on those 2 systems has been quite a lot. They've done over 58,000 hours on the primary, 52,000 hours on the backup. And engineers have finally devised a way to actually use Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter star trackers that take several images per second to determine its attitude. This new technique was successfully tested recently, and they're going to give those 2 inertial measurement units a much-needed breather. Now, there are 2 batteries on board of Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and those are also being worked with. They're going to start charging them to higher levels in order to extend the life of the battery. And they're also making changes to help reduce the power demand on the batteries as well. And as we teased at the beginning, we got to give a huge shout out to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and their work with the Mars exploration rovers, because it's worth noting that yesterday was Sol number 5,000 in what was initially required to be a 90 Sol mission for NASA's Mars exploration rover Opportunity. Now, its 14 years of operation on the surface of Mars has done science that has fundamentally changed our view of what Mars's past was like. And it's a testament to the engineering know-how that something operating for as long as in that difficult Mars environment has actually operated that long. Just some amazing work that the folks at JPL are doing. So, which is basically what the folks at JPL do. Amazing work.
Yeah. Oh no. Totally. Now, could it be
and Sol or Sol? What is that again for those who don't know?
Sol. So. Yeah, that's I'm sorry. That's a day on Mars, because a day on Mars is not 24 hours, or excuse me, a solar day on Mars is not 24 hours, because a day on Earth is technically not 24 hours either. That's a solar day. Different. We'll get into. Maybe we'll do a space pod about that.
Yeah,
one day.
maybe we should, because I'm already confused.
But on Mars, it's 24 hours 40 minutes, so
Gotcha.
a little bit longer. So
All
yeah,
right.
pretty cool stuff. So.
Nice. So, is this like a bid for over-engineering? Like, is this like a...
Yeah, I mean, I was talking yesterday that I want JPL to build my next Jeep for me.
Because it'll probably last.
Then it could actually last a very long time, and it could go everywhere too. So, and it can even drive just as well backwards as it can forwards. So that would really help. I don't know how a rocker bogie suspension would do off road. Probably a little harsh.
I mean, you've seen some of the rocks that Opportunity's gone over.
Yeah, it's rock crawling on Mars.
Exactly.
I'm totally jealous. So.
All right, now, Mike, this next title sounds a little bit like you took Luke Skywalker's hand and replaced it with one much more realistic looking. Fill me in on what's going on.
Well, what we're talking about is the final spacewalk to replace the robotic hand on the Canada arm at the International Space Station has been completed. Astronauts Mark Vande Hei and the JAXA astronaut Norishige Kanai completed that spacewalk yesterday on Friday of February 16th, and with that they were able to take the old robotic hand that was replaced outside and bring it back inside the space station in order to prep it to be returned to Earth later on. And they also carried out several get-ahead tasks before calling it a day. Now, with this, the different mechanisms that were repaired, this is the third spacewalk that has been conducted to replace these hands over the past 4 months. Last October, Mark Vande Hei and Randy Bresnik replaced one of the aging grapple hands, the one that is on. There's actually two hands that are used on the robotic arm, and the first one, which is officially called the latch end effector, or LEE. The first one, LEEA, was replaced during that spacewalk last October, and then last month, Vande Hei and Scott Tingle replaced LEEB with a spare that was actually launched back in 2009. Now, the old LEEA that was replaced back in October was temporarily stored on the outside of the space station on what's called a POA, a powered anchor fitting, that was near the station's mobile transporter, where they can move either equipment or the astronauts using the robotic arm. Now, during Friday's spacewalk, Vande Hei and Kanai detached that old latch end effector, that old robotic hand, and hauled it back inside of the airlock. And it's eventually going to be returned on SpaceX's Dragon cargo spacecraft, and it's going to be actually refurbished and relaunched again. And there's actually another spare latch end effector that's currently awaiting launch right now. Now, the still functional B mechanism, the hand number B, that was removed last month, was temporarily mounted on an external storage platform that was not powered, and Vande Hei and Kanai moved it to the mobile transporter, where it's going to be mounted in place of the one that they took back inside of the space station, so that it will be powered and can be used as needed in future if they need to replace any components. Now, this particular spacewalk was the 208th spacewalk devoted to the space station assembly and maintenance for it since 1998, and it's the first of up to 12 U.S. and Russian spacewalks that are planned for this year, 2018, and it just so happens to be the fourth spacewalk for Vande Hei and the first for Norishige Kanai, who is the fourth Japanese astronaut to walk in space. And with this, it's pretty impressive. There's been more than 120 astronauts and cosmonauts that have logged over almost 13,000 hours and 59 minutes in space, almost 54 days worth of working outside of in space to maintain the International Space Station. So pretty cool. And with that software glitch that they had last month, that they were able to patch and get everything working again. They didn't have to do an extra spacewalk to replace the old one that they mounted on that powered platform this week. So very cool that this is complete, and the next spacewalks are going to be interesting to talk about as well.
Yeah, totally. So you said that one of the hands is staying on the station and going to be stowed for, possible later use if need be. But the other one's coming back to Earth. Is that something that we are hoping to learn something from? Because it's been outside for so long. Do we even care? Is that going to go into a museum? Do you have any idea?
What it seems to me is that after it's been outside for so long, of course, it was designed to be outside in the vacuum of space and exposed to radiation and all that. But the whole idea now is whether or not we can take something that has been used in space for so long and refurbish it and reuse it again. And so that's kind of an interesting engineering project that's being surrounded around the oldest hand that is going to be returned back to Earth later on a SpaceX Dragon capsule.
Very cool. That's really exciting. Awesome. All the things I'm learning today. I'm so excited. So, Mr. Jared.
Yes.
you just have all these record-setting stories today.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of records dropping all over the solar system. So, kind of like the Olympics, just a bunch of records happen every 4 years, right? So
topical and timely. I appreciate that.
That's what I'm thinking about.
That's really good.
All right. So, New Horizons is way on its way to performing a flyby of Kuiper Belt Object 2014 MU69 this upcoming New Year's Day in 2019. But in the meantime, it's still doing amazing things. It's still taking science on its way out. Now, the distance record for a image taken by a spacecraft was originally held by Voyager 1, and that is the humbling pale blue dot image that many of us are familiar with. If you've never seen it before, that little dot right there, that's the Earth from 6.06 billion kilometers away.
Hey, that's me.
Yep, there's everybody. The entirety of human existence is in this image. This image was taken on February 14th, 1990, so quite a while ago. And then after this, they turned the cameras off on Voyager 1, and they're basically never getting used again. But New Horizons just took a calibration image with its long-range reconnaissance imager, and that image was aimed at what's called the Wishing Well Open Star Cluster. For our amateur astronomers out there, that would be NGC 3532. Easy to remember that one.
Perfect.
And it broke the distance record of Voyager 1's pale blue dot image. This image was taken at 6.12 billion kilometers away from us.
Wow.
But if that wasn't far enough for you, several hours later, New Horizons took imagery of Kuiper Belt objects. You ready for it? 2012 HZ84.
That's my favorite.
On the left right there,
Yeah,
obviously. And 2012 HE85 over on the right there.
I always like that one more.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm more partial to HE85 than I am HZ84.
That's because you're both wrong, so that's cool. Go on.
Now, even though these images are mere pixels, planetary scientists are going to have a heck of a time looking over this fresh batch of data from the furthest reaches of our solar system. So technically, these two images right here are the furthest images any human-sent spacecraft has ever taken in our solar system. Now, New Horizons travels roughly 1.1 million kilometers per day, and it's currently in hibernation to save power. And it will be woken up in June to begin testing for its next rendezvous, which, as I mentioned earlier, New Year's Day 2019, flyby of Kuiper Belt Object 2014 MU69, which will be the furthest object a spacecraft has ever performed close-up observation of in any flyby of in human history. And maybe we should say next week, we're planning to have the principal investigator of New Horizons, Alan Stern, on as a guest. And I'm really looking forward to doing that interview. That's going to be really cool. So, yeah.
That is going to be very, very cool.
Exciting.
Also, spoiler alert for all of those of you who were wondering. In any case, thank you, Jared. I appreciate that. I think I learned enough in this particular segment. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of a calendar break, and when we come back, Miss Athena, who normally is one of our hosts on Tomorrow's Science, in case you haven't heard about that, will be joining us and will be our host in our second segment, where we're going to be discussing the ins and outs and everything in between of the 2018 NASA budget. Stay with us. There's more tomorrow coming right back.
Look into her face, determination in her eyes. She won't give up or quit or fall for little fashion lies. Filled with awesome expectation, this girl's a fascination. And nothing in her way will keep her from her destination. 'Cause she's fire walking, she's fire walking. When it's hot, she keeps on moving. Through the heat, keeps on improving. Yeah, she's fire walking, she's fire walking to be free.
Who's opening? And I need somebody to power on the TV, please. Ben, you want Athena to open? Yes? Okay. Is that good?
Hey guys, and welcome. Before we get into our main topic on NASA's 2018 budget, I just want to give a huge thank you to our citizens of tomorrow. We have our Escape Velocity citizens that donate $10 an episode on Patreon or $30 a month on Maker Support. We also have our Orbital citizens that donate $5 an episode on Patreon or $15 a month on Maker Support. They get their name in the show during both the second and third segment, access to our exclusive citizen-only hangouts, early access to our After Dark as soon as it's available on demand, early access to a view-only copy of the show rundown, free worldwide shipping on the Tomorrow Swag store, and voting rights on upcoming roundtable discussions. Now, so let's get into the 2018 budget.
Yay.
I know, so I'm sure a lot of you guys have been hearing of what's going on with the budget itself. So it is a president budget request of a drop to about $19.1 billion, which is about a 3% drop from 2017. We're seeing a lot of that affecting things like the James Webb Space Telescope is going to continue to be funded, but they are looking to not actually fund the following space telescope, which would be the W1st. They're also looking to eventually end financial support for the ISS by 2025. Overall, a lot of the budget, a little more than 50% of the budget is actually going towards the development and research for sending humans back to the moon. So a big focus right now is on like the SLS, Orion. A lot of the science also is dropping overall the science budget. That's actually dropping down to about $5.7 $1 billion, but then it's actually going to be going back up in 2019 because there's a proposal budget also for 2019. But also for education too, there's the overall goal is to drop it all the way down to zero. So that affects STEM education. I mean, I personally also benefit from that. I was under the NASA Space Grant when I was a student, so it does affect a lot of those STEM programs. And yeah, I mean, overall, also you have like the lower Earth and spaceflight operations. That's dropping from about 4.85 billion to 4.6 billion. So that's obviously affecting, as I was saying, the International Space Station. So yeah, it's quite a lot right now that's being affected. I mean, even aeronautics is dropping down, even though they do plan on actually still funding like the supersonic planes, which I think would be very helpful and useful for. I mean, if you guys remember, like the British Airways Concorde, it's pretty cool, like 3 Mach. But yeah, so overall, this is kind of a gist of what I've gathered. Even astrophysics is dropping for research. And then Earth science is going to be decreasing also from about 1.9 billion down to 1.8 billion dollars. So that includes like the GOES-R weather satellite, a lot of weather satellites that we have tracking like just the land and our overall weather. So I got to actually go to the GOES-R weather satellite launch, so I'm kind of bummed that that's something being affected by this.
Yes.
So what do you guys take from all this as far as how do you think it's going to be affecting?
Mike, I know you've been really passionate, also really passionately following this particular topic. First initial thoughts?
Well, my first initial thoughts is similar to last year. This is just the presidential request for the budgets. And, of course, this is going to have to go through the Senate and the House of Representatives. And there's already been pushback to some of the decreases and increases and cancellations that are in here. One of the big things is, of course, the International Space Station. And there are ideas of ending funding for the International Space Station sometime in 2024, 2025, and potentially setting up options to hand over operations of the space station to the commercial sector and the private sector, which I think is a kind of a cool idea and a cool option. But, of course, there are many in the Senate and the House of Representatives already who are pushing back on that and want to not necessarily set that in stone right now of having a cancellation of 2024 or 2025, but continuing operations at the International Space Station as long as feasibly possible. And I really like the idea, though, of options of handing it over to the commercial sector instead of having the planned deorbit of the space station. That'll probably be something that'll have to happen at some point anyway, but if we can get as much use out of the space station as possible, that would be great. But of course, a lot of these other things, there's been a little bit of pushback on it as well. And with W First, I feel like I should hand that over to Jared. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the different things that have been talked about as far as W First. I haven't seen a whole lot of, to be honest, I haven't seen a whole lot of pushback on that, and things kind of seem to be fine with the idea of canceling W First, at least initially. But what have you seen on that so far?
I've actually seen quite the opposite. Just to let everybody know, W First is the Wide Field Infrared Survey Telescope. This is basically the next flagship astrophysics space telescope mission that NASA is working on. This is supposed to launch in the mid-2020s. And it's going to be looking in near infrared and visible light. It's the same size as Hubble in terms of the mirror, 2.4 meters, and it originally was not going to have as big a mirror as it did. It was going to have a 1.3 meter telescope, but in 2012 the National Reconnaissance Office, basically America's spy satellite agency, went to NASA and said, hey, we've got these two telescopes left over. We don't really need them because they're obsolete for us. You want them? And NASA was like, yes, we'll take them.
Also scary. Yeah.
Just like laying around.
Yeah, it's just
that's a little disturbing. But go on.
Yeah. So these instruments, they have a shorter focal length than Hubble does. So it has a very wide field of view. So by switching over to this 2.4 meter mirror and the optical assembly that came with it, W First is basically able to look at the same resolution as Hubble, but with a field of view 100 times larger than Hubble. So there was a recent study that was done of the Andromeda Galaxy by Hubble, just to give you an idea of what W First is capable of. That it would, Hubble took hundreds of images in order to get the entire Andromeda Galaxy. W First could do it in 3.
Wow.
Three images for its survey. And this is a really, really big thing. Basically the pushback from NASA's astrophysics division has basically been over our dead data. That's kind of how they've reacted to it, like very vehemently no, with it. And, this call to cancel W First, you can interpret it as a warning to the mission managers to keep the cost of the program on track. Because with James Webb, there was obviously very big overruns and very big delays with that space telescope. If you look at sort of the history of James Webb, you'll see that essentially James Webb was told to launch by then and then wasn't given the budget in order to do that, so they had to delay it, which ended up ballooning the cost, along with basically developing instruments no one had ever flown before. And when you're doing that cutting edge kind of stuff, typically doesn't come cheap because you've never done it before, so guess what? You got to literally invent the wheel in order to make it work. But with canceling W First, I don't know if it's actually going to happen because there's also been some congressional representatives that have pushed back on that as well. And I feel like some of the other cancellations as well besides W First aren't going to happen because ultimately it is Congress that ends up sort of tinkering with the budget as opposed to the executive. The executive branch kind of basically says, here's what we think should happen, and then Congress goes, no, and then does it sort of on their own with what they have. But if we lose W First, that is essentially a concession that the United States is disinterested in continuing to lead in astrophysics. And it's not necessarily just the United States that falls out from this. Hubble was a collaboration between NASA and the European Space Agency. And it's used globally by astronomers, astrophysicists, and cosmologists all over the world to do an incredible amount of science, both from within our own solar system all the way out to the furthest galaxies that we can see, 13.4 billion light years from us here on Earth. So to lose something like W First, especially with the volume of data that it's going to bring in, it's not necessarily about the precision of it because it's going to be as precise as Hubble. It's the volume of data that it can generate. That's sort of, if you want to find dark matter and things like that, you have to look at a huge area in order to understand the interactions of it. With W First, it would do that. So if you cancel W First, you're basically I don't want to say it's sort of like a astrophysics apocalypse, but it definitely is going to set us back not a couple years, but I would say a decade, 15, maybe even 2 decades worth of science data. So
it's also going to be looking for exoplanets too. So it has the gravitational micro lensing effect in it that the Hubble actually wasn't able to do, or even
Hubble looks at too small of a spot in the sky to do that, because gravitational micro lensing is basically you're looking at the light from an object and suddenly it gets brighter and then dims. It happens very quickly. So if you have a very small field of view, it's very difficult to do that. But with a very big field of view, it should be able to actually catch a lot of those events. So
well, I hope that actually goes through. That would
and I mean, there's already NASA already initiated an independent review of WFIRST because the budget did balloon up to about $3.2 billion overall lifetime operational costs for WFIRST. It did go up, but a lot of that comes from the fact that they switched from that 1.3 meter mirror to the NRO donated 2.4 meter mirror.
Right.
So when you get a bigger mirror, you need to change your instruments, you need to redesign everything, you need to change the systems on board, you need to redesign the body, the bus, everything for the satellites, for the space telescope. So they ended up having to do that. But they are doing a independent review right now, and that is supposed to come in around next month in March. That's when that review, the overall, whatever the review ends up saying about the budget for WFIRST and it ballooning, is supposed to come in next month.
So Sarge Enzyme in the chat room asks, could NASA give WFIRST a commercial partner? Is that something that it could possibly be on the table, or?
You could. This would not be the first time that a satellite has been handed over to a commercial partner. The name is escaping me at the moment, but there was a space telescope that NASA basically was done operating, and they went to Caltech and they basically said, hey, you guys want to operate it? And Caltech actually ran it for a couple years. So you could do something like that. My leeriness with commercial partner taking over a mission like WFIRST is how is the availability of that data going to happen? Because with NASA, everything's in public domain. Once the principal investigation group is done with it, that goes out public. I can go grab the data if I want to. I can do whatever I want with the data if I want to. I can put it on a shirt and NASA can't stop me. So, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I'll put all the light curves on the shirt and everything with it there. So that would be my only concern. I think it would be really cool if a commercial partner wanted to take over the mission, but also that commercial partner would basically have to say, I understand that I'm not making a profit off of this, because there's no money really to be made in the type of science that WFIRST is doing.
Right.
Sure, there's like money to be made in developing and building and doing that, but once the science, t-shirts, but once the science comes around, it's really difficult to make. It's very difficult to make a commercial argument for something like studying dark matter, you know, like the overall nature of the universe. It's a little difficult to do that in terms of cosmology and things.
Yeah, because about like trying to tie it back down to Earth, and that's one thing that's a bit more difficult.
That would be so cool.
That would be
if we could like actually like make a profit off of mapping dark matter and everything out of it. But I can't think of a way to do that because I'm not
Hollywood movie.
I'm not that person. I don't think about things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, this is why also, like, I know next week, like the Planetary Society does a legislative blitz. I took part in it last year, so they're actually going to be doing that, where they go to different like congressmen, women, senators, and they'll talk about these things. So I know that NASA headquarters has a big meeting, usually like, I think it's going to be the 26th. I didn't fly out to do it this year, but 26th, they train everyone on kind of what's going on with the budget and like what everything that's being affected. And then when we actually have our personal meetings, where it's kind of just like this, like 3-4 people in the room, and then we try and talk to them about everything. So, I mean, from my personal experience last year, I know that one thing moving forward with the new administration was really like honing in on the lunar, revisiting the lunar surface and having humans back on the moon, and also doing research in that aspect. And I think as far as, with the ISS, like, even if, you know, we aren't technically actually going to be funded, like, even if we're not going to be continually funding it, we'll still be there. So I feel like there might be some type of, at least collaboration in some aspect. But I know a lot of things are also going towards, commercial agencies, which, I mean, they tend to really excel a lot. But it's a matter of kind of, I guess, deciding which is really the best moving forward. As far as, like, SLS and Orion, how do you guys feel about that with... that really kind of I know there was a lot of debate about.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, the whole thing with the whole lunar ambitions is the whole deep space gateway, or at least some sort of smaller space station, smaller than the International Space Station in lunar orbit. And all of those plans are dependent on the Space Launch System and Orion capsules. And of course, with more powerful upper stages, they could be launching pieces of the deep space gateway before, or rather along with a crewed Orion capsule, so that they can, do a installation mission with a crew rotation mission or something like that. But a lot of the development, of course, still is going towards Space Launch System and Orion. And hopefully NASA will be able to have at least their the first test flight, the maiden flight of the Space Launch System on Exploration Mission 1. And whether or not they'll be able to, there is even an idea of launching the first piece of the Deep Space Gateway, the power and propulsion bus, on that first mission, Exploration Mission 1, whether or not it would be crewed on the Orion capsule or not. But there's definitely lots of really cool ideas moving forward towards that. And the thing that I really like, kind of touching back on the commercial aspect of it, is NASA's solicitation through their Next Step program for the habitation modules and the power and propulsion bus and all the different pieces of the space station. And even though the pieces of the International Space Station, at least on the U.S. segment, were built by commercial partners, it was under a different sort of contract. It was under a sort of ownership contract, even though this particular company is building and designing this piece of hardware, it's fully owned and operated by NASA. So this would be a little bit different in the sense that these commercial companies, even though those particular pieces that would be used for the Deep Space Gateway would be owned by NASA, the intellectual property behind that technology wouldn't necessarily, and those companies would be free to have future commercial additions if they wanted to, whether or not they get selected for the Deep Space Gateway. Boeing, of course, is having a lot of contracts studying their different modules. Lockheed Martin is also getting in on that, and Orbital ATK has a really interesting idea of expanding their Cygnus cargo modules to be a possible habitation or at least cargo module for this space station, as well as Bigelow Aerospace and even Sierra Nevada Corporation. So I'm really excited for the type of ideas moving forward under this new type of commercial contracts that have been going on ever since the commercial cargo program came out. Instead of having these sort of cost-plus contracts that could potentially balloon out of control as far as the funding and timeline goes for them. So I want to see this happen. I also want the International Space Station to get support for as long as possible. And I really want us to take advantage of these kind of new contracting methods to get it milestone-based and exactly what you paid for, not paying for overruns or delays. And so I really like that, and it makes me think that this could actually happen. And seeing this support from the executive office is something that I really like as far as the human spaceflight program goes. But then there's the whole at the sacrifice of the other programs. And we've talked quite a bit at length as to whether or not we think the Space Launch System and Orion are a efficient program or not. So we'll see how things happen, but hopefully we'll at least get that one test launch either late this year or early next year. So we'll see.
For sure. And Marty the Martian in the chat room actually brings up an interesting question. What do other ISS or International Space Station partners think of U.S. giving their station away? I haven't heard anything about this, so I can't speak to this in any way, shape, or form. I don't know, if Mike, if you know.
And again, this is just coming from the White House. This is just coming from the executive office. So that idea hasn't. I haven't heard of that idea be thrown around, by NASA or even by commercial partners, other than Bigelow Aerospace wanting to add, their X-Base, adding a BA 330 to the International Space Station.
Which they already have a small module on the International Space Station. Yeah, So I mean, that's not like a totally weird thought, anyway. So good for them for speaking out on that.
Not. But even handing over the U.S. segment of the space station to commercial commercial operators. This is a new idea that I think is just coming from the White House and Mike Pence and the National Space Council. So we'll see again whether or not that sort of idea gets picked up on in the Senate or even in the House of Representatives. But
totally,
that's the first that I've heard any sort of official idea of that.
I did see some congressional representatives were basically like, no. You're not handing over the ISS to a commercial partner, which is very reminiscent to me of what was occurring with Mir towards the end of its life as well, which Russia was kind of shopping it around a little bit, and NASA went, oh no, you can't do that.
I bet I know what would change their mind.
What?
If a commercial partner could come up with a better working toilet.
True.
Then they would probably be all over that.
Yeah, that would probably help out a bit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you off though. You were saying.
I was just going to say something sort of about sort of space launch system and cutting that out of the budget, because there's a lot of people that obviously it's not a particularly well loved program, and it's understandable because of the way the program is being run and everything with that, and with recent developments which have just sort of picked up at a much faster pace than when space launch system was sort of started, because when it was started, there wasn't really this competition that we see now, sort of giving you a reason to pause and kind of question the program. But if you cancel a program, it's not like you're just suddenly going to free up those billions of dollars to be used every year.
Right.
There was an X-ray mission called the Gravity and Extreme Magnetism mission called GEMS, and it started to go grossly over budget, and NASA basically came in and said, you're going way too over budget, you're canceled. The money that was originally supposed to go to GEMS did not end up going back into the NASA budget. It basically evaporated from the budget entirely. So it's kind of like, hey, a little bit of a warning, that money, you suddenly aren't going to free up $3 billion in order to do that. Most of that's probably going to evaporate, like you were saying, Mike, and closeout costs and things like that. And then once that's gone, so long, there goes that. Now, does that mean that it's going to end up moving around somewhere? It could, but I don't know, because that's sort of testing the congressional waters that are sort of unknown at the moment. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So.
No, I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Space is big. There's a lot of stuff to concentrate on. We each have our own sort of areas that our hearts sort of pull at, for many different reasons. And it's hard to sit here and sort of, we could all sit here all day long, I think, and justify, well, this is my favorite program and this is why. And then we all go, oh yeah, no, that's a really good idea. Yeah, we should totally do that. And the next person goes like, oh, no, I like that one better. Yeah, we should totally do that. It's difficult no matter where you are, where you sit, as long as you like space. I mean, I feel like to a certain extent, as long as we're doing something in space, not to sound bad, but over the course of history, it's just simply been shown as soon as we get a new leader, right, a new head, then things change course, which has been very frustrating for a lot of us who, again, you get a certain program that you were really interested in and really wanted to see all the way through, and then 4 years or 8 years later, it's like somebody gets a better idea and you're like, no, just kidding, we're not doing that anymore.
It just shifts.
Right. It feels like we keep getting these promises of we're going back to the moon, we're going to the oh, we're not going to the moon. No, you guys are not going to the moon. And it's really difficult. It's really difficult. So I guess that's the silver lining in this cloud, is that if there's something here that you really loved and Jared really hated, then you'll be happy for a whole minute, and then like 10 minutes later you'll be ecstatic because now all the money's going to you instead.
It just has to be like a constant reevaluation of everything that kind of just comes out of each of these different departments that make up all of NASA. I did see someone commented a while ago about asking about NOAA. I know that got like a big hit about a year ago, but it depends on kind of what's more like in demand of current research and what has already been worked on for like over 10 years, or 8 years, 5 years, whatever it is. So I'm really happy that James Webb is definitely going to be launching. I'm very excited for that. So I think there's still a lot of things to obviously look forward to. I'm happy that there's going to be like asteroid redirect missions that are going to be happening. So that's really good. Like I think Lucy and Insight. And so those two, because that's for planetary protection and defense. So that's really good. So I'm really excited about that.
Psyche as well.
Yeah, Psyche to big asteroid Psyche. So
Psyche, yes. Yeah,
those are important. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I really like too how there wasn't any talk this year of completely separating the Earth science budget and handing it over to the NOAA. I like that there wasn't any talk like that this year, but kind of touching back too on the international aspect to all of this. I think, and going back to what you were just saying, Carrie Ann, about every time that there's a change in leaders, how programs shift so much. I think it's really interesting how with George W. Bush, how with the Constellation program, that's, you know, kind of started this whole idea of let's go back to the moon again, and we can see various programs commercially and internationally that came out from that. But as the Constellation program got canceled and all the closeout costs and kind of resurrection of certain programs now with Orion and Space Launch System, I think it's really interesting that all this momentum was built up towards going back to the moon, and some of our international partners like the Russians and the Europeans and the Japanese started their own programs of going back to the moon. We've seen Japan's very successful robotic program of sending orbiters to the moon and returning data that we didn't have before. China's very successful orbiter program, and even their lander programming and having a lander there. And we know now that a lot of these countries have lunar ambitions to not just have some sort of space station, but to go to the surface of the moon with or without the United States. So all of that together, I think it's really interesting that now here we are with the Trump administration and this kind of shift and lean back towards these lunar ambitions, but not to go to the surface of the moon, but to enable all of our international partners to go to the surface with this space station. So, of course, I'm really excited about it. You all know that this is probably my favorite program about this. Yeah. I find it interesting that there's that international aspect to this that might be influencing these decisions of, okay, on the way to Mars, let's go back to the moon and provide a stepping stone and still be, you know, part of the international community and be a part of returning to the moon. So
yeah, and it does take an international community to do that, because with current budgeting, NASA can't do that alone. So if you really wanted NASA to do it alone, then you should throw the dollars at them. Someone in the chat room said basically what is my favorite thing when talking about the budget, which is that great line from The Right Stuff, which is no bucks, no Buck Rogers. So, you know, if you're not going to fund it, then you know you're going to have to go to other people who have access to funding in order to do that, and it's going to be your international partners. That's sort of what was one of the really great things that came out of the International Space Station, was the ability to get all these countries to come together and to make it actually work. You know, that was hugely influential, especially if we're going to be going beyond the moon with NASA. So, yeah.
Why end that relationship?
Yeah, exactly. Cool. Alrighty. Well, do you guys want to talk about anything else in the NASA budget, or shall we jump to a commercial break?
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's the nice thing about tomorrow. Like, we're all very optimistic about the future, no matter what, right? Yeah. So, again, as long as we're doing something in space, I think this isn't the end all be all. And one of the cool things about, you know, being the American trendsetter, if you will, is exactly as Mike was saying. You know, as soon as America says, "Hey guys, we're going to go back to the moon," and even if we don't, somebody else goes, "Oh man, we better go to the moon," like, because they're going to do it. And if we don't do it first, or if we don't do it better, or if we don't do it cooler, right? Like, there is something nice to be said about that sort of thing of, like, you know, even to a certain extent, even if America doesn't do it, that humanity is still doing it. You know, there's still that interest out there. You know, we need like a space eBay. Like, if we don't get JWST in the air, like, you know, we don't get W first up in the air, like, maybe, you know, ESA will buy it, or maybe JAXA will buy it. Maybe ISRO has got their eye on something in particular.
I think that's a really great idea. Start like an eBay for space stuff.
I'm for it.
I'm so down.
I suddenly know how to make money on this thing.
Space programs.
Right. It's a really great idea.
There's just two things I wanted to kind of touch on really quick.
Ahead.
Which there's actually a really cool item in this budget, which is that they're putting $150 million specifically to encourage development of commercial activities in low Earth orbit. I think that's really cool. Because we've seen over the past couple of years that not only are commercial companies starting to enable government agencies to actually do a little bit more in low Earth orbit, but NASA, you know, with the International Space Station, you actually have a destination for commercial companies in low Earth orbit. And I think that's going to change with things like satellite internet and all this other stuff coming online. And you're already starting to see the changes, like with some of the Earth imaging companies that are basically refreshing images of the entire surface of the Earth every 12 or 24 hours, whatever it is. So, there's some really cool stuff that's happening with that. And I'm really excited to see what's going to become of that, because right now details are really kind of quiet about that. But I'm hoping that that's something that Congress doesn't eliminate when they go in with it. But there's sort of one with the cut down of Earth Sciences and the complete dismantling of the Education Office as well. Those are really concerning to me, because without the Education Office, you don't have the scholarships and the internships that enable the next generation of engineers, scientists, and researchers to really come in and work with NASA. And having brain drain in your scientific agencies is a great way to really lose any and all edge that you may have on anything. And also, with the cuts to Earth Sciences, canceling 5 Earth Science missions, with that's would be disastrous to Earth science. It's one of NASA's directives to study the Earth and the changes happening to it. And it's so important to have that data in order to integrate that into models and things like that. And without the ability to gather that data, we can't make even more accurate models than we already have. So it's really important that it's really just a bummer that the fiscal year 2018 request wanted to cancel these 5 missions, and the fiscal year 2019 request also now wants to cancel these 5 missions. And in 2018, they basically said, Congress said, no, we're funding them, and went ahead and gave the restored funding for them. So I'm hoping that's what happens this year. But it's really tough, because a lot of the criticism for NASA's Earth Sciences is that NOAA should be doing that, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. But this fiscal year 2019 budget cuts NOAA by $1 billion. So if you want NOAA to do all of that research, you should probably send that money to NOAA. But again, that's not happening. So if NOAA is not going to be capable of doing it, then NASA should be enabling that and getting that data, because that's very important. It's super important to have that kind of data. So
yeah, it definitely is. And then also too, as far as cutting out complete everything with education, it kind of just it's like as if we're just working towards all this stuff for a very short future, and then all of a sudden what's going to happen 20 years down the line when all the top scientists today are kind of old or want to retire, or maybe they just whatever happens. And it's it stems from childhood and how to really fund and fuel that. And one thing I was reading through actually was the 2019 fiscal year was it was said that there's still an expected creative way for NASA to still get the youth involved and interested in actually wanting to pursue a STEM education without needing to do any of the scholarships or anything like that. And I think that that's something where it's just sort of, like I said, it's more looking at a short term instead of long term, because it's what are we going to do 10, 20 years down the line when we have to take, the youth to actually be the next scientists, and they're going to be the ones to fuel the future. And it's if they're not getting motivated through proper education, proper funding, and a lot of the funding is going somewhere else. As far as in college, if I'm a brand new college student and I have an opportunity to get a scholarship at doing a business internship as opposed to doing a space internship where I actually won't get paid. I mean, I obviously personally would choose a space internship, but there's a lot of people that might just choose the one where there's money. And so I think that we don't necessarily need that to, convince people, but it definitely helps because it's a big aid. And it also, it doesn't just pay the student for the internship, but also being in a lab, being hands-on, actually being part of research that's going to go into archives. And I think that cutting that out completely is just, it's going to have long-term effects.
Yeah, it's not looking very far down along the line. It's not a look into the future. It's more just a sort of a how would I describe it? I'm trying words, please. It's more just like a very short-sighted decision in order to do that, because especially a lot of those internships enable you to do research, and especially to get that as a college student. You get to do research, and you get to add that to your little resume when you get to toss that off to wherever you're going to work at. And a lot of these are paid too, and paid internships to do things. That is so important when you're a college student, which is that you really want an internship, but paid internships are worth their weight in gold, and that's really important because then that enables students to kind of continue on, not have to worry about certain things, and it really helps them focus on their work. So.
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing to remember, as we said at the beginning, is that this is a proposal.
Yes, it
Right,
is.
yes.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So this still, thankfully, granted, there are some incredibly terrible commercials and movies and things that I've seen that I look at somebody else and say, somebody had this terrible idea and they proposed it to somebody else, and then an entire committee said that this was good, and they still put it on the air. So in theory, this could still happen. And level heads don't always prevail, unfortunately, but they still could. And that's I think worth noting. Yeah. But I look forward to everybody's comments, questions, concerns, and complaints about this particular proposal. Mike, did you have anything else that you wanted to add right in the end here?
Nope. I think we've pretty much said everything. Yeah.
Perfect. Like I said, we all have a tendency to be a little bit more optimistic about the future, even when things like this might look a little grim. But again, we always look forward to your comments. And speaking of comments, if you wanted to throw.
Oh, yes. Okay. So
back to you, Athena.
So we're gonna wait. Which camera? That one.
There you go.
Okay, new at this. We're gonna hop to a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're all gonna talk. You guys, maybe I don't know if I'll be sitting here about all the comments from last week's episode, which was about the Falcon Heavy reactions. So that's gonna be really cool. So yeah. Okay. Commercial break.
Science. It both draws us together and tears us apart. Brings discoveries to cure us and threaten us. It is neither good nor evil. It is what we decide to make of it. There is so much more to learn, and we are curious. Together, let's explore the science of tomorrow.
Welcome back. That was a very short commercial break. So we want to give a huge thank you to our citizens of tomorrow again. So our Escape Velocity citizens, they donate $10 an episode on Patreon or $30 a month on Maker Support. Our Orbital citizens donate $5 an episode on Patreon or $15 a month on Maker Support. And then we have our Suborbital citizens. They donate $2.50 per episode on Patreon or $5 a month on Maker Support. And they end up getting their name in the show during the third segment, access to our exclusive Citizens Only Hangouts, early access to After Dark as soon as it's available on demand, early access to a view-only copy of the show rundown, and free U.S. shipping of the Tomorrow swag store. Woo. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the comments from the Falcon Heavy reaction.
Yeah, 11.06 was that particular episode, as this is 11.07, of course. This first comment, I guess we have a slate for that. You should show it because it is quite pretty.
Pretty.
It is quite pretty.
Which movie is that?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
It really
Actually,
does.
you know what, though? While we have a minute, and while we have Athena with us, because we did not have Athena with us this last week, I'd like to actually hear your reaction to Falcon Heavy, because that was not something we got to hear yet.
I cried. I screamed. I actually went to, oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing. So I went with one of my friends, total fangirls. We actually just kind of sat nearby, like the SpaceX facility down in Hawthorne, right by the Falcon 9, the first launched and lands. And
Wait, so you were just outside?
We were sitting outside.
You should have pinged me. I could have come out.
Really? I didn't know that. So everything was blowing up in our group chat, and I'm like, they're all having so much fun inside. I'm sitting on the lawn using my hotspot to watch it on my laptop.
That's amazing. That's such a good idea, though. I didn't even think about doing that.
Wait, I didn't know you were here because I ended up going to El Segundo afterwards. Wait, what?
Okay, you're telling your story.
So I ended up going.
We gotta coordinate better next time, but go on.
Yeah, definitely. So I was with one of my friends, and she knew some people that were working there, were inside, and we're like, let's just sit outside and get some sunburn and stuff. And we were watching it both on her phone, both of our phones, and her laptop. And the internet kept going in and out because we were using our hotspot.
Sure.
And we just were like shaking her computer. Random people were walking by, and we're just like, there's a rocket launch happening. And it was amazing. I actually brought my camera, and I was gonna try and film kind of just reactions of ourselves. But then I was so nervous of getting in trouble because I didn't know if people walk by, so you can't film. So we didn't do it. But it was like incredible. I literally was like screaming and crying, and every single thing that they were saying too, because I'm very new at kind of all the terminology of rocket launches.
Sure.
So I actually had a little pad of paper. Actually, it was from NOAA, and I was writing down all the different things that happened during a launch. So that was pretty exciting to learn all that. But that was it was insane. Like I said, I screamed, I cried, I jumped. Afterwards, I actually went to some diner nearby and just ate like a huge plate of it was like French toast and hash browns and coffee, and I was just rewatched it like 6 or 7 times.
So good.
And then my friend told me about the El Segundo, and so we just went there and just all these people, and I'm just like, this is amazing. And they started playing it up on the in the bar, like on the board, and everyone's like drinking, cheers, into space science. I'm like, this is like the best thing in my life right now. And it just was amazing. I met some like really amazing people too, and and so and then I went home, and then I like told everyone the next day. I felt like it was. Oh my gosh, I felt like literally like withdrawals. Yeah. I actually felt like it was like the day after. I can't even compare it to the day after Christmas, because day after Christmas is still fun. But it was just, it felt, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like when I first went to see a rocket launch, even though I didn't see the rocket launch, I wasn't there. Sure. But the only one I ever saw was the Atlas V, that goes our weather satellite down at NASA in Cape Canaveral. And it just, the next day, I was like, life will never be the same.
Right.
But yeah, it was, anyway, so that's my experience of sticking with it. Told everyone. Called my mom crying, Dad. I was like, and they saw it. It was amazing. So yeah,
that's so
that was my experience. We're gonna coordinate next time. I can't believe you were there.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, so. Good. So now you know what we're going through and what we're talking about. So this first comment comes actually off of Reddit from Rocky Boulders, that I almost said Rocky Builders. It says, the amateur astronomy community has been observing the Roadster, still attached to the second stage, since launch and found that, what is that word?
Perihelion.
Thank you. Perihelion is that roughly? Because I would say tilde.
Roughly.
Okay, 1.69 AU, just shy of the official 1.7 AU from SpaceX. This is far cry from that diagram that the perihelion at 2.6 AU that must posted immediately after the last burn. Most would agree this is not even at the edge of the asteroid belt. It was also my understanding that this was burned to depletion, so I wouldn't call that a failure. All right, so somebody's got to explain to me half of those words and what he's actually talking about. I can barely say it. So what's a perihelion?
So a perihelion is basically the closest point of your orbit when you're in orbit around the sun.
Okay, as opposed to like apogee?
I think they meant aphelion, which is the furthest point out from the sun on your orbit, which is okay.
And then what's an AU?
It's an astronomical unit. That's a standard. That's a standard measurement that we use. 1 astronomical unit is the average distance between the Earth and the sun, which is 93 million miles.
Perfect.
So,
good.
There you go.
Now I almost understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. So if this was, so even being off by 0.01, is that is something that would be, not to be too punny, but astronomically different?
Yeah, but I was going to say, this is, go ahead, Mike.
The whole thing with this, though, is that the first image that was posted was 2.6 AU, which would have reached the asteroid belt. And so this comment is referring to probably a comment that I had made about how it didn't quite reach that orbital parameter that they had hoped that it would be able to reach, which is fine, though. I mean, the mission was still a wild success. And even doing this burn and having the waiting period, the coast period in the Van Allen belts before doing this is great. And to my understanding, yes, they did do a full engine burn, and then there's no more fuel left over. So for a test flight, this is pretty incredible. But it's not. Again, the whole purpose of launching it on this trajectory in the first place was to hopefully do a Mars flyby, and that Mars flyby isn't going to be happening anytime soon. So it's not a failure, so to speak, but it's just the trajectory isn't what we hoped and what expected and what Elon Musk first said it was.
Gotcha.
That's
I mean, the ultimate test is of the rocket itself, right? Like, flying cheese or flying a brick of concrete is kind of the same thing, but flying a car is just cooler.
Yeah, well,
right?
I took the flying the Roadster by Mars from Elon as a joke. I didn't take it as an actual thing because I'm sure.
I suppose if you're going to try for something, you might as well try.
I'm sure everybody. I'm sure there wasn't any Mars flyby ever planned for the Roadster. It was just going to go out to Mars orbit. It wasn't. There was no plan for it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So I just feel like it was a joke, and then everyone in the news kind of ran with it, and then didn't realize it was, like it's really hard to tell the tone of people on Twitter sometimes.
This is true. We need a sarcasm font.
Yes. Elon Musk.
Yes, it would be really good. I also want to point out that the idea of your initial orbital elements that you get from an object changing radically from what it actually is not unheard of.
Okay.
I mean, when you get your initial images of like an asteroid or something that you've just discovered, that first set of images is going to give you a initial orbit, but when you observe it more, you're going to be able to dial down that orbit even better and figure it out. So the initial orbits of asteroids and things does not. It's usually nothing anywhere close to what the actual final calculated orbit ends up being, because you need more observations so that you can compare its motion to the background stars of those positions that are not going to be moving in a human lifetime. So you can actually look at them and you can figure out precisely where it's going to be at. So that first orbital element that came from the tweet by Elon Musk, this is not unusual.
Gotcha.
This happens in astronomy all the time.
And then Johnny Spacer in the chat room says, not a flyby, but reaching Mars's orbit distance from the sun, which are two totally different things.
Yes.
And then Vacfedrum follows up with saying, Elon says Mars orbit, which people misinterpreted as orbiting Mars.
Yes.
So I think that's where a lot of maybe that confusion is coming from.
Yeah, there was kind of something got lost in the minutia there.
I was hearing that it was going to be like an Earth-Mars orbit, and it was going to be mainly like it was an orbit around the sun, generally, which a lot of things orbit the sun, but it's going to be intersecting Earth and Mars's orbit.
Yes.
And I think that what threw a lot of people off was like that little animation video that he had released, where it looked like as if the car was heading over to Mars.
That did not help.
And I think that is probably what threw a lot of people off, because people don't like really read as much and they'll look at videos. Not everyone, but a lot of people will. And you see something that goes viral on Instagram, and I think that they saw that and was like, oh, great, it's going to Mars. Like I know everyone who isn't in the space industry, or my friends, they'll see that and they're like, oh, wow, there's a car going to Mars because of the video.
Right.
And so I think that that's what also caused a lot of this, Twitter stuff. Tweets.
Yes.
I don't know how to word that either.
But So
all right, that's fair.
That's probably what it was.
Cool.
I think.
Next comment comes off of YouTube from Orion.
Mo O'Ryan.
I like that's my favorite. I'm wondering if the car will look like a comet after a little bit of time. There's been some volatiles, right, in which.
Volatiles.
Volatile. Okay. In it, which will off gas. Sorry. We will yet get some good science out of this ridiculous and silly, awesome thing. A bunch of materials that were not tested for space, now in space. How they react could be very interesting. Yeah. Is that Mike? Is that you were going to say something? I feel your presence behind me.
As long as we're observing it, I guess. That's all I was going to say. As long as we're observing it, and right now I think it's just the amateur astronomers that are keeping track of this so far.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still getting telemetry or how long they're expected to get telemetry at SpaceX for. They might have already lost telemetry from the second stage, but. Yeah, it would be interesting to see as long as we can actually see it and continue to observe it.
If it turned into a comet, like, we wouldn't know, right? Then it would just sort of look like a comet?
No, yeah, we're losing the Roadster. What I've seen in terms of the amount of magnitude, so the amount of, or how bright it's going to be, is magnitude 29. Which, just to give you an idea, your eyes in really dark skies can go down to about magnitude 5, magnitude 6. The higher the number gets, the less light is coming from you. So the lower the number gets, even into the negatives, the brighter an object is. I don't know why they set it up that way, but that's the way they did it. So that's the way we do it.
Totally backwards, but okay, cool.
So the Roadster will eventually reach magnitude 29, which, just to let you know, the lower limit for the Hubble Space Telescope, the absolute faintest objects it can see, is at magnitude 27.8. So it's going to be too faint for even Hubble to see it with that great instrumentation. So, yeah. Now, when it comes back around and gets close to Earth, sure, yeah, we can do it. We can take a look at it.
But yeah, that's even assuming we knew it's that, though, right?
Well, if we've got the good orbital elements, because everybody's looking at it now.
Sure.
You know, a whole bunch of amateurs and also colleges are using it, and they're doing what's called astrometry, which is when you're looking at an object and you're figuring out very precisely where it is out in the
It's like my new favorite
sky.
word,
Yeah,
astrometry.
it's pretty cool.
Right.
Astrometry and geodesy are my favorite astrophysical words. But what's cool is you could actually, if it comes back around, you can look at where it is and compare it to where you predict where it's supposed to be, and you could measure something called the Yarkovsky effect, maybe, with that, which is basically the ability of light and thermal emissions to actually carry momentum and move objects just by that. So, like OSIRIS-REx is going to do that when it arrives at asteroid Bennu later this year, study the position of the asteroid and see where it's going. But you could still do that, you know, even with a roadster attached to a second stage. So that's going to be really cool. And we should very precisely know where it is and know when a flyby is going to occur, which, if I recall correctly, in some of the stuff I was reading this week, 2091 will be the next very close flyby of Earth by the roadster.
Whoa.
So we should have some good. We should have some good telescopes by then.
I mean,
to
you
really
might. I'm too old for that.
pinpoint
I'll
it.
be long
I hope
gone
like
by
an
then.
alien finds like the ARC 5D. Is that what it is? The ARC 5D, the little disc on there that has like all the information libraries and everything on there.
Yeah.
That'd be so great.
That'd be really interesting.
Hope someone finds that something.
That'd be really cool.
All right, so the next comment comes off of YouTube from Bad Hair Man.
That's not me.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't think so. Says talking about sci-fi spin-offs and watching Falcon 9 Heavy Landing. Says I'm already picturing the Doctor Who episode where they meet Starman in a space roadster. I think it's supposed to be just a historical artifact, just a dummy in a spacesuit in a sports car in space. But then the spacesuit starts moving and then it starts killing people. No, we don't want it to kill people.
Oh my gosh!
Wait, what people is it going to kill in space?
What is wrong with you, man?
Plot twist, Starman is actually a fully AI sentient robot that Elon Musk had to get the heck off of Earth right now.
It was just
So that's why he's so afraid of AI.
Maybe it's Sophia.
It's not because he can't make
The AI.
too futuristic,
Because it tried to
Sophia.
get
That'd
at
be
him,
hilarious. Good callback to Science. Tomorrow Science, by the way, on that one.
Nicely done.
If you're not watching Tomorrow Science, you need to watch Tomorrow Science.
Yeah, you should.
That's really. That's really all I have
I hope
to.
it's an AI. That'd be interesting.
That's so funny. All right, so next comment also comes off of YouTube from Scott Harrod. Says, I live in Australia and I love Falcon Heavy's launch. I am old enough to have seen Apollo 11's moon landing. I was 8 years old. Nicely put there. And this was just as exciting. That's awesome. Thanks for the live broadcast from SpaceX as well as the information on tomorrow. Keep up all the cool space stuff, you lot. I wait every Sunday afternoon here in the Oz for the next orbit from you all.
Awesome.
Aw, thank you.
Thanks.
That's really cool. It's most of us here are not old enough to remember the Apollo 11 launch.
No.
And so it's. I mean, that's how it feels to me, but I have nothing to compare it to. So it's hard for me to say, like, yes, that's exactly what it feels like.
Yeah, I guess like the big space things for me have been the STS-114 returned to flight of the shuttle in 2005. That was kind of a big deal. Curiosity's landing in 2012. That was a huge deal. Rosetta as well, dropping Philae to bounce on Comet 67P in 2014. And this was, I kind of commented on Twitter that this was kind of like my generation's Apollo 11 moment. And then some people were like, well, no, it's a little more like Apollo 4, which was the first all-up test of the Saturn V.
Sure.
And I was like, sure, if you want to split hairs, let's do it. But it was kind of one of those things where it was very well covered. It was all over the place, and it was just so cool to see that actually happening, because that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
So especially just for the test launch of a vehicle.
Yeah.
Like how many news organizations covered the first, like even. Just comparing it to the first flight of Electron, that didn't make the national news.
Between
at
the
least
birds
here
and the
in the
sheep,
United
you thought it
States.
would.
As I was saying that, I said, well, it probably made it in New Zealand, so in Australia, but whoops. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a good way to grasp the attention of literally everyone is by putting the Tesla in space. I think that if it was just maybe just a payload to send somewhere, it wouldn't have gotten as much attention from the people that aren't in the space industry.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really good kind of marketing tactic.
Yeah, and I mean, my baristas at Starbucks the next day asked me about it, so. They never talked space with
That's
me. So
great.
just to show you the kind of impact it had. So
Yeah.
it was amazing. So.
Yeah, Mike and Jared both said that they originally thought the Tesla idea was kind of silly, almost stupid, right?
I thought it was ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
It was the dumbest thing I'd ever heard.
Yeah.
So, but no, I don't think that way anymore.
Yeah, because the outreach that it
Not
had
anymore.
was
Yeah.
kind of worth it, I guess.
Worth
in a
it.
sense.
So
Totally. We have a couple more comments from last week. Next one is from Whack Jagner off of YouTube. Says, it was great to see so many news sources covering the launch of Falcon Heavy. My favorite burger joint was even posting about it on the Book of Face. It was the closest we've had to an Apollo moment in my life, although curiosity and opportunity came super close to. It's great to see so many people giving space even just a brief moment of attention, since that's where the future is. Yeah, I don't think that could have been worded any better. I think we all completely agree on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't say it any better than that. So.
Yeah. All right. Last comment comes off of YouTube from one Miguel Chaffin. Chaffin?
Maybe? I don't know.
Sure. I don't see why not. My wife and I made a date night out of watching the Falcon Heavy launch. Good timing in Europe's time zone, and my wife, who's not a space geek at all, really enjoyed the launch, making for a great rest of the date. I always knew SpaceX would help humanity, but never figured that they'd make a great wingman. Love it.
Well done.
I love that.
I think space in general is just a really great wingman.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Anytime I go out anywhere, and I don't really talk to a lot of people, but if I do, it's always about space.
Right?
Like my short, small talk. It's not space. I mean, it's not like the weather. Nothing. No, it's space.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone
Love
should do that. I think it's just makes everything so much better.
Yeah.
And interviews, I don't know. Anytime you meet people, it's like you talk about space. That's just, I don't know. It's just it makes people just think differently.
Yeah.
And they forget about social media. They forget about everything else that's usually embedded into our brains all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Oh, that's totally funny.
Yeah.
So that's all the comments. One last shout out to more citizens. Of course, these are the ground support people. They, of course, also get their name in the show. I will talk a little bit slower so you can possibly find your name in all of these names. You get your name in the third segment of the show, access to our exclusive citizen-only hangouts, and early access to After Dark as soon as it becomes available on demand, and which is about what we're going to be going into. As Jared did a little bit of a spoiler. That's okay, though. Still love you.
Sorry.
Next
I
week.
got excited.
Next week.
So.
Well, that's because you're going to be doing the interview.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
No sweating on camera.
There's so much to talk about with this.
In case you missed our news segment and the spoiler that I'm speaking of, next week we are going to be having the one and only Alan Stern, who is the principal investigator and with New Horizons.
Yes.
And it's going to be a really great interview. Really great guy. Jared's going to be doing a great interview with him. Very excited about that. So. Thank you all. This has been very enjoyable. Thank you, Athena, for kind of guest hosting with us today. Yes. If you'd like more Athena, of course, tune in to Tomorrow's Science. The rest of us here, we're going to be sticking on with space for the most part, and we will be seeing you next week.
Minutes after that, so
yeah,
I was kind of yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Did you get? I thought you got shapes.
Who got shapes?
You were like, I want shapes, but we're gonna do the show.
I want shapes, but also my throat.
Oh, all right.
So.
What do you do?
Faux mohawk.
What's that?
Faux mohawk.
It's really difficult to do. And there you go.
You just have to keep moving.
Jared, move around quickly.
So, Jared,
earthquake. Not a joke here.
All right, Jared, I have a legit question for you.
Yes, sir.
We have a cherry red Tesla floating in space.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I'm skipping that one.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But this is a legit question. I don't know the answer to this. It's likely not going to stay cherry red.
It won't.
Right? It's gonna get bleached out and turn white.
Just like
but why
the car.
would it turn white?
Why would it?
Why would it turn white?
Because the exposure to ultraviolet radiation is
because the pigments break down as a result of solar radiation.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's gonna bleach. It's going to bleach the car.
Is it? But is it like doesn't that assume that the basis of the paint itself started off as white?
No, it just bleaches You know, it's just like the American flags up on the moon. The exposure to solar radiation, they're white now.
Sure, but the
No way in
original
heck they're
fabric
still-
had some sort of white in it.
Yeah.
It had to be colored red or blue. The original paint it didn't start off as white. Is my point.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily that it's peeling off that paint. It's that it's extracting the color because of that the solar radiation, like you said, right? That's what's happening. It's like when you bleach clothes. Well, I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm not explaining it well.
No, I mean, no. I understand. I understand. That part I get, but I just want to make sure, like that.
All things begin as white.
Do
then,
they?
Yeah. So all things begin as white, and then
Do
from white
they?
you get to black. Yeah. So that's how pigment essentially works.
I'm
right?
unsure of the methods that are used to actually paint a Tesla Roadster. So I do not know.
That's my initial
I would
question.
imagine.
Sure, assuming that, yes, I'm totally on board.
I'm positive it's going to turn white.
I'm pretty confident that the
Like,
pigment will
this
obviously-
isn't white.
Yes, but that's not being exposed.
That's not
to-
painted.
That's also not painted. That's metals.
In the beginning, there was white.
Yeah, that's
what I'm
There was
asking.
metals.
That's
metals.
You're right. That's a metal. There's no paint on that. If you were to paint it, let's say you were to paint it red, you would have a white base that you apply red to create the red paint.
But
Yeah, so like a great
You are
example
the-
of this, I have this sticker on my my roof rack for my Jeep, and it's faded
Sure.
because it's been exposed to radiation.
Right.
So it's faded.
Right.
So it's lost its pigment.
Sure, but it also started on paper.
That's a good question
did.
because
That's my point.
Its base is white vinyl.
I can't hear what that is saying. So what's the argument?
He's saying that the base is white vinyl on that. That's where I'm going. I'm like, I understand the concept of it bleaching out and all that other fun stuff. Like that makes sense to me. But I'm just wondering if the base layer of that car, that whatever goes onto that metal, if that started off.
So I don't know what primer does when it's exposed to solar radiation because nobody's put primer in space.
Even
before.
if it doesn't go to white, let's just go. Let's just say it goes to shiny metal instead.
Sure.
Does the reflectivity of the car then increase so that it would be easier to spot? Or
Donna just said something very important.
His car's made of carbon fiber.
Yeah, it's made out of carbon fiber.
It wouldn't
isn't
go
it?
to shiny.
Doesn't the Tesla Roadster all carbon fiber?
I don't believe so.
Like
no,
a carbon fiber body?
I'm gonna Google this.
There's carbon fiber panels on it, though,
There's
right?
carbon fiber on it, but I don't believe it's all carbon fiber. No.
The structure, I think, is carbon fiber and aluminum.
Yeah, that's going to break.
Carbon
The
fiber
carbon
and
fiber
aluminum?
will absolutely break down.
Yeah,
So,
I don't
yeah,
believe
that's going to break
it's a
down
load.
in
It's
years.
a Lotus.
Will it just
right?
break down
So-
like a basket breaks down?
Yes.
See what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
break up into particles.
The resin inside of the carbon fiber will degrade to the point where it just crumbles and falls apart, and it will leave the woven fibers of the carbon together with no structure to them. So it will just be a wobbly mess of like
Okay,
carbon
so,
in this basket.
So
It'll just be by himself.
But the whole car is not. It's
the
a
whole-
Lotus frame. First off, right, and the Lotus frame is not carbon fiber.
Yes,
Okay.
but they've
So-
made changes to it, didn't they?
Yes, they did make changes to it.
I
and they're-
apologize. I didn't actually mean to go down this tangent, but at the same time, like I feel like the basis of the assumption might be incorrect.
No, I think the basis assumption is correct, and we're going into details that are irrelevant. Which is the basis is it's going to become a brighter object, one way or another,
In
right?
theory.
No, it's going to become a brighter object. So it's even if it breaks apart and goes to its bare metal, it's going to be brighter than the dark cherry red. Even if it breaks apart and it's just a metal frame, it's still going to be brighter than that dark cherry red.
Sure.
Or if it goes to white, it's going to be brighter than a dark cherry red. In all scenarios, it's going to be a brighter object.
It's sure, but by the time it comes back and is brighter because it's closer to the sun when we can see it, it may not be as big either. So
Each Tesla Roadster that rolls off the production line sports a skin made of lightweight carbon fiber and epoxy composite that took 2 years of design, prototyping, test, redesign, test, meetings, and arguments to develop.
okay, Donna's basically saying that you're wrong. It's all carbon fiber. Anyway,
It's not all carbon fiber.
sure.
Someone
Great.
may
The
have written
Tesla
that, I can tell you
website
for
says
certain.
it.
It is not all carbon fiber. At a minimum of the frame.
Sure,
The Tesla
frame-
website says
Sure, but
that the skin is carbon fiber.
Sure,
body's
great.
carbon
now,
fiber.
Great. So we're going down an avenue that's irrelevant to this conversation. So the frame, like the whole thing strips away, and you're left with a freaking body. or, I'm sorry, frame that's all metal and bright and shiny. Cool. So the point is still the same, people.
It's
now
shiny,
you've
but
got
it's
a
smaller.
bright, shiny. Okay, never mind.
It will not be visible from
Doesn't
okay.
matter. Never
telescopes
mind.
here.
It doesn't matter. So we'll move on. I retract the question.
Even attached to the
I
second
retract
stage.
the question.
With as
I
bright as
retract
the
the
second
question.
stage is, it's not.
Question's
gonna-
retracted officially.
So, Ben is wrong.
I think Ben is wrong because he's Athena and I'm Ben. So he's, I guess, okay to be wrong right now. He's not Ben, I'm Ben.
Right. So, I mean, we can just do this without him. But he doesn't have an ear anyway,
What
so
is
it's
this?
okay.
What are we doing?
He says, here, we'll do it like this, and you can post it on the thing. As the red of the Roadster basically cooks off the car and turns white, will the Roadster be easier to see from Earth or just getting too far too fast?
Too far, too fast, too small, not bright enough. There you go.
So we still answered Ben's question anyway.
So
You'll probably be able to spot the upper stage, though.
Potentially not. So we'll have to see.
So
I really do want to see how long we can hang with in tracking it, because I just want to put this out there. The light that you're seeing from those images of it is not coming from light reflecting off of the Roadster, because the Roadster's itty bitty compared to the upper stage of the rocket.
Yeah.
You're seeing light reflecting off of the second stage of the Falcon Heavy. So
what Ben is referring to is that the chassis of a Lotus Elise and therefore a Tesla Roadster is made from a bunch of pieces of aluminum that are glued and screwed together. But then, the body, the bit that is painted cherry red, is all carbon fiber. And so I believe his argument is that the sun will erode through the paint so that you show the skin. I don't think that that's necessarily true. My question initially on Twitter, which I think is kind of what sparked most of this, is how long is it going to take the sun to degrade the pigments of the paint until it becomes white? It's going to bleach the paint white. So I don't think it's going. The exposure from the sun of the carbon fiber body would degrade the carbon fiber, degrade the resin in the carbon fiber, only if it's exposed. So there's that portion up above in front of the windshield that's just carbon fiber with like a clear coat on it.
Yeah.
That's going to become just a wobbly basket of carbon fiber with no structure to it. But the parts that are painted, I think, are still going to be protected enough so that it will retain its structure, but it's not going to remain cherry red. It will eventually become white. So how long before it becomes white?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess it depends also on where it is and where it's orbiting. I guess when it starts to get closer to the sun is when it's just going to start turning, I guess, white a lot faster. I have no idea. Where is it right now? It's like mad far.
How long did
It's like past Van Allen. The cameras, I
Cameras
think
only
they
lasted
died
12 hours.
like after, yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
I was going to say that
really quick.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
But if it only lasted 12 hours.
Yeah, I keep rewatching like the Starman live video, pretending like it's live.
Jazz throw up. That's hilarious. This is fast becoming the dress discussion.
The dress discussion. Oh my gosh.
Is the car
Is it
red
black
or is it
or
white? Is it a wobbly basket or not?
That's funny.
Siderite says, if I can get it, there you go. Someone here had it right, I think. CF, I assume carbon fiber, will blacken, not whiten, like, I can't say that word.
Carbonaceous chondrite.
Thank you.
That's a type of
to both of you, because
type of meteorite. So
I can't even with that one.
They're pretty cool. So
What the tires on the car? Are they not?
those will break down for sure.
Those will definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott says asteroids are dark blackish or red. And
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
All right.
Red's a little more Kuiper belt than asteroids, but it is possible. There are some asteroids that are very red in color, which tells us that there's organics that have been exposed to radiation, which means that they've turned red. So, but this is not the same type of stuff that's actually on the Tesla. So, completely different kind of
different material,
different kind of carbon chains and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that if it starts to get like really close to the sun, I feel like I just picture it turning into this like plasma forming around it, and it turning into a comet, even though it's not going to happen where it is right now, obviously. But I think when it starts to get closer to like, I guess, if it does get closer to the sun, I don't actually know, because like I said, I think it is going to be just an Earth-Mars like orbit, but close to Mars. But I want to be on it. Well, okay, not really, but I do want to see what happens to the spaceman, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool, how long the spacesuit will last. I bet it's also like a test, too, that he's doing just to see how long the spacesuit might last, also. And, you know, its durability. But, yeah. Maybe someone will be in the passenger seat by the time it comes back. That'd be so creepy.
A little weird.
Just sitting there.
There's 2 of them now.
I have an idea for a secret space mission. Fly out, remove the spacesuit, move it to the passenger seat, and then do that.
Scare everyone. Oh, man.
That is funny.
That's funny. That's great. Yeah.
Oumuamua, which is the interstellar asteroid, it was kind of brownish red. So, which is what's expected when you're exposed to radiation.
Oh, yeah. You talked about that, what was that, last week? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, we talked about that.
We did talk about that. And I remember talking about it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Okay. So, let's see. Mike is gone for the moment.
What's happening? I just got really
You have a space pod, though, yeah?
I do.
Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Yeah. Beck says apparently there's a towel in the glove box.
Yes, there is.
Really? You put a towel in the glove box?
I mean,
why a towel?
Yeah, because of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Ah, yes. Towel in the glove
Don't
box.
panic.
Don't panic. I thought that was funny.
That was cute.
Printed in large, friendly letters too, so which is very important. So.
Alrighty. Okay, so if you're doing a space pod, then I will move out of your way.
Okay. Should I just stay here?
Sure. Look,
Cool.
you've got a camera and everything.
Who's ready?
You are not in the shot, so you can totally stay if you like.
Yeah, you're good where you're at. So, who's ready to watch me try to do this? So, do I need to move or anything, Dada, or?
No, you could just look at the right camera.
What if Oumuamua is like a semi truck from another?
It's just like gathered.
Like some other
Now it looks
billionaire in a system far away, just like chucked on the first flight of his interstellar rocket.
Then I guess we have to ask Planetary Resources to go to Oumuamua and then dig out the semi-truck from a completely different other millionaire, billionaire person who did it on their...
So, Jazz already said that in the chat room, so sorry. Sorry.
I mean, you never know.
Guess I'm not original. So. Anyways,
yes, that is the one that sort of looked like a turd.
yeah, it looked like a poop. Although I thought it looked a little more like a, so. But that's just me.
A cigar,
So.
right? That's what I said too.
Yeah, you could say it's a cigar.
Yeah, I was calling it a cigar. Like
Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready, Stooge?
So, anyways, yeah, I'm ready to talk about me being wrong, potentially. So, all right. Everybody ready? That was weird. Like, everybody looked up at the same time. I saw from like my peripheral. Everybody was just like, it was just like, focus.
Really what it needs to be ready.
Oh my gosh, that was so.
You feel like you're outnumbered by women or something?
I mean, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. So, anyways.
Pressure.
Sorry. God, I hate it. All right. In my time at TMRO, I've discussed dark matter, that mysterious.
Yeah, it sure is. Look at you.
Yeah, it's mysterious. I can't even speak about it.
Sorry, my retard laugh came in.
No, you're fine. In my time at TMRO, I've talked a lot about dark matter, that mysterious, unseen force in our universe. We can see its gravitational influence, but we can't see any light from any wavelength in the electromagnetic spectrum coming from it. Well, a study was recently sent out that may change how we think about dark matter. And this is your space pod for February 22nd, 2018. There you go, see? Sometimes I just have to focus. So, hopefully that's University of Basel. So, I didn't look up how to pronounce that. So, doggone it. University of Basel, B-A-S-E-L. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Someone in the chat room will absolutely correct me while we wait for the phone to be quiet. So. Dork matter. I like that. Where'd I go? Oh, right, I'm right there. Oh, are we just going to start right there, Dada? Are you cool with that? Yeah, sure, I'm down with that. So, Basil, thank you. All right, here we go. Dark matter and our present understanding of it works more often than not in our models of the universe. But this recently published study by the University of Basel's Department of Physics has thrown a wrench in our gears. They focus specifically on structures known as dwarf galaxies. It's not uncommon for a large galaxy to have one, even several. Our own Milky Way has the large and small Magellanic Clouds orbiting us. And the overall structure of the universe tells us that dark matter should be lumped about all over the place, not evenly distributed. This affects not just the large-scale universe, but also the smaller stuff as well. Of course, smaller stuff here being on a galactic scale. Now, galaxies should be flung apart if there was no dark matter, but they stay together. This shows us dark matter's gravitational influence is an actual tangible thing. But this study published in the journal Science earlier this month gave us an unexpected result. These satellite galaxies are expected to orbit completely independent of the galaxy they're under the gravitational influence of. They're supposed to be distributed completely randomly. But with a very detailed observational period of Centaurus A, a bright elliptical galaxy 13 million light years away from us, astronomers observed the small satellite galaxies in orbit around it to find exactly which trajectory they were following. They expected to find them, of course, in random orbital distribution, but they weren't. Of the 16 satellite galaxies orbiting Centaurus A, 14 of them were all orbiting together in the same trajectory. This does not align with our current models, as they predicted that only 0.5% of all satellite galaxies would be doing exactly what we've observed in nature. And coincidence of this is unlikely, as this is the third parent galaxy we've seen with aligned satellite galaxies orbiting it when we include our own Milky Way and our local neighbor Andromeda. Now, competing models of the universe may agree in certain areas, but completely disagree in others. And conflicting ideas within our fundamental understanding of the nature of the universe, they're not really cause for concern, but they are a cause for even more careful observation, which will hopefully yield us a better understanding overall. Now, thanks for watching this Space Pod, and don't forget to check out this previous week's episode, Orbit 11.07. We talk about NASA's upcoming budget, the proposals from the White House, and what we think Congress may do with that, and the numbers and nuts and bolts of that budget as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us, and tune in to our live show every Saturday at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time. So, until the next Space Pod, keep exploring. How's that? Good. It's actually good. I did it good. I did it good. I did it good. All right.
Good job. All right.
All you make, fire when ready.
Okay. All right, take one. This past week on TMRO Live, we talked about the upcoming budget requests for NASA for fiscal year 2019. But for this Space Pod, I wanted to talk about the U.S. Air Force's budget request for fiscal year 2019, which establishes a program for small satellite launchers and will have a dedicated funding over 5 years of about $192 million. And this would be so that the Air Force would have assured access to space. This is your Space Pod for Tuesday, February 21st, 2018. Not the 21st, the 20th. Ugh. Do that again. This past week on Tomorrow Live, we talked about the upcoming budget requests for NASA for fiscal year 2019. But for this space pod, I wanted to talk about the United States Air Force budget request for 2019, which establishes a program for small satellite launchers, which would have a dedicated funding of about $192 million over a 5-year period to ensure access to space for the United States Air Force. This is your space pod for Tuesday, February 20th, 2018.
You want me to start on the image, or you start back with you?
No, we can start. We can start from me and then go to the image.
Copy. Go ahead.
Give me just a second here. Now, the Air Force says that this small satellite launch program complements their Evolved Expendable Launch Vehicle program, or EELV program, which supports the launch of larger satellites. And for this program, they're going to be developing it over these several years to be able to have assured access to space. And this builds on a couple of programs that the Air Force and the DoD have been working on already. Now, one of the programs that happened just last year was a experiment where they're launching an experimental satellite under the Space Test Program that the Air Force has. And signed back in November, they had a contract to fly one of the Space Test Programs on Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 sometime in 2019. The Launcher 1 vehicle, of course, uses a modified Boeing 747 aircraft as a mobile launch pad for Launcher 1 to lift small rockets. Virgin Orbit's Launcher 1 is designed to have a 660-pound satellite lofted to low Earth orbit, but could launch from essentially anywhere in the world. And here's an updated pic of the progress that they have made on one of the first Launcher 1 rockets, which is coming along nicely, and hopefully they'll be able to do the first test flight of that later this year. Now, companies like Virgin Orbit and also Stratolaunch have set up dedicated services for the national security market. Stratolaunch is developing the world's largest aircraft platform with plans to launch Orbital ATK's Pegasus vehicles into space. And the important thing to understand about this program and the potential for Virgin Orbit and Stratolaunch to use it is that the Air Force is not going to be buying rockets individually, but is going to be acquiring an entire launch service from the private sector. And the budget forecasts around $47 million the first year in 2019, $11 million in 2020, $57 million in 2021, $12 million in 2022, and $63 million in 2023. The Air Force's small launch vehicle program would cover payloads that are going to be up to 8,000 pounds. So depending on what sort of other capabilities might come forward for this program, they might be able to fulfill the requirements to have a rapidly executable mission that would be able to launch in a short term's notice and would be able to launch from multiple locations. Thus, the idea that Virgin Orbit and Stratolaunch could potentially be lined up for this program very well. But we will see how this mission, or rather what other companies come forward and whether the capabilities might be able to work hand in hand with this. And I, for one, would love to see some other type of rockets, whether they be Orbital ATK or someone else's rocket, flying with the Stratolaunch system to get this type of money for this up to the 8,000-pound capacity. But in any case, that's all that I wanted to talk about for this. Be sure to check out our last live show, Orbit 11.07, where we talked about the 2019 budget requests, at least from the White House, for NASA. And be sure to check that out and all of our live shows that happen every Saturday at 1800 Coordinated Universal Time. Don't be sure to like, subscribe, and support us if you can on patreon.com or makersupport.com. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Space Mike, and until the next time, keep moving onwards and upwards, and don't forget, Ad Astra, to the stars.
Mike, nicely done. Boy!
Got it.
Ta-da!
Yay.
Somebody earlier in the chat room said that Mike makes this look easy. I think I think you guys both make it look really easy.
It ain't easy.
I remember doing this stuff, and it was such a terror.
It is not easy whatsoever.
It's easier when you have covering shots and you can kind of sit there for a second and just sort of read the words that are on your screen.
Yeah.
But Yeah, no, it's...
Also, I wasn't laughing today because I'm kind of like sick. So everything speaking hurts.
What's your shirt size,
So-
Jared?
What's up?
What's your shirt size?
I'm a 2X. Because I got broad shoulders. Not because of all the beer I've had.
Sure. We'll go with that.
The sound effects.
We're very professional on this show.
Oh, that was so funny. I sent the vitamin to the group chat
thank you.
in Discord. Yeah.
I
Guys
need
better
to
get it.
figure out what I'm going to go
Or I'll
eat.
just order from Amazon and ship like 15 of them here.
Probably just a good idea
Literally the
anyway.
best.
Sorry,
Yeah,
hold up. Sorry.
they're the best.
Knowing us.
They'll never run out.
What's up? What's up?
So is this after dark?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, okay. I know we did before.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, I suppose.
My eyepiece in my good ear,
When
so-
we go from space to science,
Oh,
we
I
kind of
don't- I
just
don't
like
care.
do that immediately.
It's like
I'm
usually
hungry.
directly,
And then
yeah.
it's like a
I'll just
really
hug
long
you.
day, so we just sort of cut things off and go, cool, peace.
Yeah.
What's up?
Because right now would be when we'd be doing science.
Yep.
Oh, jeez.
So now the next one's going to be the third.
Don't do
I
that.
think. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I'm excited. I gotta
It's
start
bad for
writing.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the topics?
I think I'm missing one.
It'll be fun.
Oh, God.
T-shirts unit.
You said next week Alan Stern's on?
Yeah.
That's going to be so awesome.
Oh, that's March 24th. Sorry, just kidding. Don't mind me. I was like, don't we also have somebody else coming into studio? Different 24th. Sometimes I forget that the weekends, like pretty much the
No
first
dying, Jared.
28
I'm trying.
days of March fall exactly in line as the 28 days in February.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
so that
cool?
screws me up sometimes because it's like, oh no, the weekend of the 24th. Like, wait, the weekend of the 24th?
Didn't that just happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the Alan Stern mission.
so good.
Yeah.
I'm talking to him just because the story of getting New Horizons to actually become a mission is like incredible.
Oh no, I'm not crazy.
So-
That is February 24th.
Huh.
What?
Are you talking about the
The email chain?
yeah?
For
Yes.
Loretta?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're double booked. That's correct.
Okay.
She knows.
Okay.
Wait.
Just double checking.
She's just coming on for a few minutes. Going to talk about Yuri.
All right.
Bro.
I will
oh my
not
gosh.
forget to chat. So.
I'm like working with her. I'm going to be hosting it this year.
Nice. You're
Yeah.
a visitor.
Yeah, I'm an ambassador. I'm like so excited. I was going to be on stage and I was like, I
All
don't
right,
know
come
about
back
that,
next.
but-
Come back
Yeah.
next week. You'll do a quick 5-down sit.
Oh my
5-down minute with
gosh.
Loretta. We'll do a
Yeah.
little like what's Yuri's night. We'll go into news.
So excited.
We'll go into Alan Stern's interview, and then we'll do comments. Or we'll do her in comments. I don't know yet. I think I'm
That's
missing a box of
exciting.
shirts. Wasn't there a third box?
I didn't think there was a third box, but I guess there could have been a third box.
Because I
You
don't
got
seem to
shirts?
have
Yeah.
the double
Did you-
XL.
Here.
I won't forget the chat. I'm much better now than I was a very long time ago. At least I hope I am. So.
Okay. I haven't met Haley, but
Yeah, I haven't either.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was literally just on the phone with them like 2 days ago.
Nice.
Kind of going over everything.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yay.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Here, right?
It's
In
gonna
boxes.
be. That's gonna be a fun one.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I'm so ready. Yes.
1701. Yes.
I know, I just saw that too.
Athena, you had a question directed at you. If you want to address that,
You
you
took
don't know.
part in. You said something. Yeah. So it was for Ferdinand. It was NASA Socials. So you probably heard of it. A lot of people tend to do the NASA Socials program. It's for social media users. You send them like an application talking about, first of all, I guess why you like space and just a little bit about you and your social media channel, whatever it is you kind of have. And yeah, and I applied. And I ended up going for the Goes Our Weather satellite.
Nice.
Last.
I actually met Dutta at a NASA social.
Really?
That's
I
how
love
me and
those
Dutta
things.
met.
Which one? Did you do?
Dryden, which was the first one. Back when I'm sorry, Armstrong. Back when it was called Dryden. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was so awesome.
Yeah, that was sick. Remember how everybody saw the the door that said access only SR-71 personnel.
Yes.
And everybody just stopped, and people were like trying to go in that door. And the NASA people were with us. They're like, no, keep moving.
Do they still have one in there?
Yeah, that was so cool.
So cool.
So I appreciated the sonic boom they gave us.
And
as
we all got to sit in the cockpit of an F-18 and take our picture. It was freaking
well.
amazing.
Yeah, that was sick.
That's
So
cool.
I don't fit.
I don't either. So
That sounds so fun. I love
My
it.
NASA social was also.
Yeah, but yours was like photobombed by a space shuttle. Shenanigans.
Yeah.
just a minor.
Oh my gosh.
I was drooling as I was hanging over the fence at that one.
We weren't at the same social.
Well, no, I went up during your social. I went up to Gemini Road and was taking pictures.
Yeah.
Me and 500 of my closest friends being closely scrutinized by guard security as they would pass by every 5 minutes.
Dude, yeah, did they check your, like, all your stuff that you brought in your car for your... Yeah, they checked ours, man. I had to open up my trunk. I had, like, a suitcase in there because I think I was just on a trip or something right beforehand or something like that. They made me open up my suitcase. I was like, it's just underwear, dude. Like, the dogs had to sniff everything. Like, it was crazy.
So we were parked on the east side of the road, and there was a couple cars that would stop on the west side of the road, and they would go, "You're not supposed to be over here," and have them like usher on and move along and get on the east side of the road.
Wow.
And there was people that would cross the road and go start walking on the dunes, and you were allowed like 50 feet into the dirt or whatever, and they would and if you went any farther than that, they would come and tap you on the shoulder and go, "Hey, you're supposed to be back on the other side."
Wow.
So yeah, it was interesting.
Interesting. And then when Ben and I were able to go down to the media site for the last few space shuttle launches, we had the NASA social. They were NASA tweet ups back in the day that were right next to us.
I love that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You guys went as media.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so
Nice.
cool. Yeah, we were on the causeway right next to Al Roker and stuff. I was like, there literally was just like a thin little like piece of plastic separating us. I was like, I can easily just say I'm media and be like, okay, I'm ready to cover the launch now. That would have been cool. That's so cool. I've never seen any of the shuttle launches.
I was trying to get into the tweet up tent, which is how I found you guys.
Oh yeah.
The tweet up tent.
That's hilarious.
I love that name.
I wanted to go to a shuttle launch, but you know.
That was when I joined Twitter. It was November 2010.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I joined Twitter because I started seeing tweet up, shuttle launch, tweet up tent. I'm like, oh, how do you get in there? So
Was that 133?
135. Oh yeah, 133. I'm sorry.
Which is the never-ending tweet up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I note that I was there in November and not February.
Delayed so much.
Yeah, that
that was a
delayed
long-
forever. There's
that
so
was
many
a
good
long
stories
one.
that came out of that one though. Like Space Cake came over.
Endless barbecue.
Yeah, the Endless Barbecue. Space Cake came over. She's in London, I want to say now. But she came over to the States to see. She got into the NASA tweet up, and then it was like if she went back home, she couldn't afford to come back again, essentially. Right. So she just kind of couch surfed all over the U.S. Until that finally went.
Wow.
Yeah, which is just insanity. That was totally crazy. And we ended up on the couch of Chris Radcliffe for a space up. She came to a space up in San Diego that year as well. Well, I guess not technically that year, it was next year by then. It was.
That sounds so fun. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we like make our own?
I don't see why not.
That would be so much fun.
Right?
And couch surf and stuff. We gotta travel. We gotta do that. Let's do it. Let's go road tripping, guys. I'm gonna learn how to drive. Then I'm gonna get a giant truck, and then we're all gonna just drive around.
Yes, totally.
It's a big truck.
Wait, you don't know how to drive?
No. I mean, I can't.
Doug could teach you.
She moved here from New York. She's
I know.
I know. I mean, I've done it, but like in like wheatgrass fields and illegally, kind of. I guess. I mean, not really illegally, but like because I was like I have my permit. I've always had a permit, but I've never like actually driven on roads and like in streets, just in like cornfields, which is weird because I'm from New York. But like,
it's kind of funny when you went it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would visit my dad, so and then he would teach me how to drive. But yeah, I know. I need to learn. Yeah, I'm gonna do it soon. I've been dreaming about it. I also had a dream that I was chased by someone with a chainsaw last night. It was really weird.
Don't do that.
Really weird.
Not
It was
as much fun.
super random. I was like, ah! And I woke up. I was like, okay, gotta get ready.
That's so funny.
I don't understand dreams. They're weird, but.
You get your license, you need somebody to teach you how to drive a stick. Let me know.
Oh yeah, that's what I've been wanting to learn. I know. It's just someone who just said you can't go to space unless you learn to drive first. Yes, I know. Yes, I'm going to space one day. I know it. I just don't know how I'm gonna get there, but I'll make a plan. Drive.
Mike, in case you care, Will in Woods says, can you give us a tour of Mike's setup sometime? Just, you know, doesn't have to be now. Just something to think about.
Be very, very brief tour.
Yeah. I assume it's a lot like Lisa's tour whenever whenever she sets up the camera webcam thing in the closet.
That was so cool. I've been loving her stuff.
Yes.
What she's been doing. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
The high seas.
Yeah, she updated us on breakfast not that long ago.
Oh really?
Yeah. Let's see if she tweeted about it.
Let me check her Instagram.
Yeah, because she has a Google website set up, so she can kind of like update that. Where'd it go? That was neat.
Oh wait, the cake. That's what I saw. Yeah, it was her birthday.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Not everybody gets to turn 25 on Mars.
That's amazing. Well, you know. That's so cool.
Very, very cool. Excited for her. There was a High Seas video package that went out. I'm going to find it because it's going to bother me now. There we go.
Well,
yes.
I think I'm pretty tired and hungry. So
Not a problem.
Go for it.
Go right ahead.
Good show today, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And,
Great job today,
Yeah,
Mike.
it
That
was
was some
fun.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Helping out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye, Mike.
All right.
Bye, Mike.
See you guys
See you
later.
later.
Have a great rest of your week.
You too.
Enjoy.
Does the earpiece hurt after a while?
Yes, a little bit.
It does? Okay, so it's fine then, right? Because it felt fine until like an hour passed. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure I was like...
keep kind of half adjusting my...
Yeah, I just had it kind of sitting in
right at the edge. Right.
I started feeling it like here, like a tension, and I'm like, because it was just like a lot of pressure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That I do not have.
No, so maybe I should just. Do you think she was saying like if it's uncomfortable, it's not going to get better over time? So I don't know if we should just have her redo it. Or...
Yeah, maybe. I know as like the older they get, they shrink a little bit, which I remembered ever so slightly when I put the new one in and was like, oh wow, that's a thing.
Oh, it feels so good to pull it.
Yeah, when I took it out earlier, I was like, It's like when I take airplane ears off. Once I get off the plane, I'm like,
yeah,
it's great because I literally can't fly without them, or else my head will explode.
What are airplane ears?
They're little earplugs that go in, but they have a tiny little vibrating like piece inside of it, a little piece of plastic that when you're taxiing, like it starts to slowly vibrate to help break up the pressure in your ear.
Oh, cool!
So that you don't get that airplane ear thing. There's like a few names for it, weird names too.
Note the Disneyland cup with her breakfast. When she was here last, she was like, I just decided I had to have one.
What is this website?
Well, because she can't directly tweet, is my understanding, or something like that. So she's got to go through this other thing. And so it popped up in my Twitter account like this. And when you click on that, you get this little like tweet email thing.
I haven't been on Twitter in a while. I remember when Twitter was first. Well, actually, I don't remember when Twitter was first created, but I remember for me it was. It was, I think, 2011 is when I joined.
Yeah, I'm coming up on my 10th anniversary on Twitter in April. So
It's
gonna be.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
The first thing I just saw on Twitter was Elon Musk. He said my new Roadster or my new
Toaster?
Tesla.
Yeah.
Oh, did he say toaster?
Toaster, yeah.
I don't know. I totally
Look at
read
how
that as
well it's
Roadster. As Tesla Roadster.
Sarah
Which is
showed me
because
that last night.
I
so-
have
That's fair.
a Darth Vader humidifier at home.
Do you
I literally
really?
was just showing my friend last night. I was like,
so
look at
funny.
this. And it looks exactly like this.
You got to look at the other. He's got a couple of pictures that go with it. Yeah, there's
Oh my
light
gosh,
side
this
and
looks
dark
just
side.
like my humidifier. I have to attach an image somehow to him and be
That's
like,
so
this is
amazing.
like my humidifier. That is craziness. Yeah, I got it right after Christmas for Bed Bath & Beyond. It was like 50% off too. I was like,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Yeah, it's so dry out here, so. I was
Yes,
like,
yes,
need
it is.
humidity.
Yep.
But it looks just like this. That's so funny.
That is funny.
Oh my gosh. Except like he doesn't have, his head is actually covered because I don't need to toast anything. Oh my gosh. That's really funny.
Does it just come out of his mouthpiece? That's kind of what I want.
What the
The
toast?
humidity.
Oh, the humidity. No, so he actually, it has on top of the helmet, because the helmet comes off, and like that's where the tank is full of water. But there's a little slit on the top. Here, I have like videos and stuff where you could see it. Because all my
Sounds
videos
amazing.
I do with them in the side. So this is, oh wait, I don't think it's going to load. Okay, wait, let me get another video. I have like no storage on my computer. I'm trying to.
Hey, Dada, could you mute me
everything
real
on
quick?
Drive.
I'm gonna cough.
All right, so that's
I'm good now, thank
the humidifier.
Oh my god.
It looks just like his
Yeah, it
toaster.
does.
And it's
That's
just like right
excellent.
up here, there's like a little slit, and that's where the humidity comes off, and the whole helmet comes off, and then you like refill it with water.
so good.
It's the best thing ever.
But does it have eyebrow?
Eyebrows?
Yes. When you take the helmet off, are the eyebrows still there or are they gone?
No, they go
singed
with
off.
it.
What's
They
wrong
go
with
with
you?
it. I think you could see the lids. You still have the eyes and the creases, but yeah, that's really funny. Oh my gosh, I want to really find a way to attach this photo to like his post. Oh, I can do that. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. I'm so gonna do this right now. I'm scared.
Man of Sand asked if do tomorrow people ever show up on NASA's Space Flight Forum?
I'm there.
Yeah?
So I just don't comment because most people on NASA spaceflight forums are a lot smarter than I am, and I'm like really big on listening to people who are a lot smarter than I am.
And that's why I'm not there, is because I don't understand anything.
I'm actually not. I don't think I've ever gone in there.
Yeah.
Ben Credible, maybe. Ben Credible, are
Ben
you
may
still
be there.
listening? Passively, do you ever go on NASA's Space Flight Forum?
I read, I don't write.
Copy. So, yes, but no, but yes, but no.
Yeah,
There you go.
I read it. I'll check in a couple times a day because especially L2. L2 is worth it. So it is so nice. I love L2. So it's good. So
He's unpacking boxes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
nice one, Badger. My username on NASA spaceflight is just my name, so I'm unoriginal.
How impressive.
I know, right? Most impressive.
I'm gonna start hanging out on here. I don't know. I just went to the website.
If you really want to learn a lot of
a lot.
stuff, the NASA spaceflight forums are
Yeah.
amazing. But if you say something wrong on there, there's going to be like 20 to 30 people who are going to correct you on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man of Sand said nearly the exact same thing. If you say something wrong on NASA's Space Flight Forum, they will correct the hell out of you.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's good because you don't want to be wrong.
Right. Smokey Jerk says, Jared, explain your shirt. It is very cool.
It's the legacy historical logo for the Soviet/Russian aerospace manufacturer Sukhoi. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I think it's Sukhoi.
Do you know how to type it?
Yes.
Oh, Alex Physics, that's funny.
If I'm wrong, the chat room will correct me for sure.
Probably. Is their logo normally in purple?
No, I like purple.
Yeah, no, I
Purple's
don't have
cool.
anything against purple. I was just curious.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that was
Sukhoi
very,
still exists. They have they're still a company, so that's how it's pronounced. Cool. So, and those of you who watched last week noticed that I had a Tupolev shirt on as well, which is another it was the legacy logo of another Soviet-Russian aircraft manufacturer. So I think it's pretty cool. So I also got other ones. I got a Supermarine shirt. I got a Lockheed, old OG 1930s Lockheed shirt with the star on the wing and everything.
Oh, yes, that one's made a couple appearances.
Yes. So.
Wow, I gotta step up my game. Shirts. Mine actually says strong independent variable.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yes. So that's like the geek. That's being covered in Michael Jackson jacket, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm at the shop where you guys shop.
Okay, some people are saying I'm doing it correctly. Other people are saying that I'm doing it wrong.
Okay.
So.
Sugoi?
Sugoi?
As opposed to Sukhoi?
Because I don't know Russian. So, unfortunately.
Apparently, according to Jazz Throwout, Sukhoi is pronounced the
Jesus,
Klingon way.
Please. Please do. So. Oh my God.
Send me the text.
That's funny. All right.
It is fun. Just lost so many comments.
Yeah, no, it's.
How many people are like in this right now?
Let's see. I see a user list of.
Hi,
87.
87 people.
Hi, Internet. It's nice to see you.
It's cool. I don't know what to talk about.
Okay, everybody's saying I'm correct.
Yo no sé nada.
You're not saying it right.
Lo siento.
No, but there's like a ton of people that are saying I'm correct.
Correct.
I'm correct, but there's also an equal number of people saying I'm incorrect.
Why don't we?
Well, then you do you.
Can we have consensus, please?
You do you.
So, jeez.
So uneven, guys. Can we all just agree?
Make up your mind.
Space Vogel is asking Athena to show off your pins.
Oh, okay. So this is a TMRO pin here. Oh my gosh. Wait, where do I go?
This
That one. No, I know it's difficult.
So should I like go up to the camera?
If you like.
Okay, wait.
I don't know how
This
much
is
it'll
so
focus.
That's a TMRO pin. And then I have a space shuttle.
Uh-huh.
And then I have SCS-120.
Uh-huh.
And that's all I have right now. And then this is a necklace of the moon and it has my name on it.
You
But
said
this is Space
SCS-120?
SCS-120, yeah, it was a recargo mission to the ISS. I think it was Space Shuttle Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And who's on it? You got Wilson and, oh my gosh, I can't read upside down. There's a lot of people on there.
What
Yeah,
would you say is
SCS-120.
your favorite orbiter?
I guess the last one, Endeavour. I really like the Endeavour a lot.
Yeah.
Because I just like everything that kind of came out of the Endeavour, and also like the Endeavour was the first shuttle I saw that actually went to space.
Mm-hmm.
So was it? Yes, it was. Yeah, and then I saw Discovery, and I like freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh. But yeah, because I always like was working at the Intrepid in New York, where we had the Enterprise, but I never went to space. So I was always like looking at this like perfectly polished, you know, unused. Well, it was used. It was used, you know, just for.
That was an important thing
It was
to
super
work with.
important. Yeah, the
So-
vibration test that I went through and everything.
I just, you know, I just want to let you know who you have employed here.
You're wrong.
Did you just like not even ask that on the application? Like,
didn't.
I feel like that's maybe a thing that should go on future applications.
The best orbiter was OB-104. That's Atlantis.
Atlantis.
Atlantis was the best orbiter.
Okay.
And now the correct answer to
What
that is why.
What's the reason for this?
What is the reason for this?
Oh, it was the most amazing. Well, first off, it was the shuttle that ended the entire program. It was the very last shuttle.
So
to
it
fly.
killed the program. Got it.
Well,
Go
no,
on.
it was the final flight. It was the main milestone.
It was
for the,
so terrible they decided to kill the program.
No, actually, they were going to not end on Atlantis, but they realized they needed to end on a high note, and so they chose Atlantis
They realized
to
if
end
it's
on.
going to die anyway, just
note.
throw
the fact
the
that they
sick,
were like-
sad, terrible shuttle at it. Is that what you're saying?
So
I'm going to
also,
Google every single thing about Atlantis.
yeah,
and I'm going to look up.
also,
Yes. Yes.
it's hard.
It's hard to
Somebody's
defend
having to-
Atlantis.
somebody's
Yes, I
having
can't
to back
imagine
up.
how weird.
I'm having to remember my arguments from back in the day because
I mean,
brain's gonna
considering
have
that
to
all of them look
cash
the
those
same,
checks
I
your
can
mouth
see
keeps
why you would have
writing.
trouble telling them
Bite your
apart.
tongue.
Oh wait, that's Top. You've never seen Top Gun. You know.
Yes.
7 cool things you did not know about Space Shuttle Atlantis. But I'm not going to read them.
I mean, Space Shuttle
Number
Atlantis
1
did
looks
not.
just like the other ones.
Unlike
Number 2.
Unlike the other orbiters, Space Shuttle Atlantis did not require the station to shuttle transfer system.
You mean it never got that upgrade?
No, I mean it did not require it. It was able to run on its own.
Sure.
Okay.
They just
Right.
wanted to let it die on its own. Got it. Keep going.
Right, exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yep.
Space Shuttle Atlantis was not a Franken shuttle. It was the last shuttle built from all original parts.
Columbia was the first one built from all original parts.
I don't buy Discovery. I can't hear him. Columbia was what?
Columbia was the first one built from other parts. Go on.
No, first one built from all original parts.
All original parts.
Right, yes, but Atlantis was the last one. It was like the newest orbiter built from all original parts.
So the baby who couldn't do anything on its own. That's
no, baby
adorable.
who did everything on its own. It didn't, unlike...
I mean, just because we didn't ask much of it doesn't mean that it did it all on its own.
Who was it? It was Discovery, right? It wasn't a diva. It would actually be able...
Discovery was a diva.
Discovery was a
Discovery
diva.
was a
Discovery
diva.
would be...
Let's all
you'd
be
roll
honest.
Discovery out to the launch pad, and Discovery would be like, I don't feel like launching this month. So it wouldn't go forever.
Discovery was a pad queen.
Oh, yeah.
So,
We also asked a lot of her for every return flight.
and pad queen throughout her entire career
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Discovery would
She was
just
like 3, 2, no, not today. No, no,
Right.
no.
Atlantis, first time, like, put it out in pad, you knew you were going to space if you were on Atlantis.
Again, if you don't ask much of Atlantis, then yeah, okay, cool, it can perform. I don't ask, like, Melanie to do, like, weird astrophysics. What was the word I learned today? The
Astrometry?
Yeah, astrometry.
Astrometry and geodesy?
Because, you know, she's 5.
Sure.
Yeah,
So-
he's not listening.
I know, that's the best part!
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Or he just doesn't know how old she is.
I
which is
know,
also probably
even
true,
better.
So it's okay.
Either way, again, I don't ask that child to do much, and so she excels at everything I ask her to
I want
do.
that too. I want that shirt too.
Yeah.
Make it happen, Smokey.
Actually, yeah, that is a great idea for a shirt. I'm a pad queen with a picture of Discovery on it. That is...
Yeah.
I want it-
Wait, would Discovery be wearing a tiara?
What
like
I want
around
is it
the
to
ET?
be a picture of Atlantis, but still says Discovery, and just to piss off everybody. Or no, when they do the Make It So Harry, and it's a picture of Ian
I was just trying to
McKellen,
figure out
like,
how to use the
Yeah.
force. Oh, yeah.
And then it's a picture of Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
And at the
No,
bottom
here's
it
what
says
you have.
So it has to look like Endeavor. Say
No, it has to look like
Atlantis on it,
Columbia.
but it has to like say
The
I'm
Columbia?
a pad queen.
Yeah, Columbia.
That's like the
Columbia had
time
the extra, yeah.
we went on Hyperspace Mountain at Disneyland and we
Yes.
did the Star Trek, you know,
Yeah.
Live Long and
Oh my
Prosper and the
God.
photo part of it. That was pretty good. So,
We need to do Disneyland sometime.
well,
That'd be fun.
Endeavor is my favorite.
Endeavor. Yeah.
So
You meant
because
Atlantis.
to me, Endeavor.
All I hear you
truly-
saying is Atlantis.
Hey, did we still have that phone number active?
Yeah, we do.
Is it still active with that on it?
Okay. Tell us why you love Endeavor.
Endeavor is my favorite shuttle because to me it truly embodies the spirit of exploration because it rose from the ashes of Challenger in order to continue the exploration of space. To me, there's a very emotional aspect involved in Endeavor because Challenger happened and they said, all right, what are we going to do? Rockwell said that we'll build 2 for the price of 1, but NASA had them pull in spares from Atlantis and Discovery and build a new shuttle for out there.
who
So
would you
to
say-
me, Endeavor is my favorite because it truly represents the spirit of space exploration the best.
And
because
who
it
would you
basically
say-
said there was a problem, but we're still going to do it. We're still going. So that's why Endeavor's my favorite.
And who would you say is your favorite astronaut that ever rode on Endeavor?
Me?
Yeah.
Story Musgrave, absolutely. He is like a god to me. So, yeah, I got to hear him talk at Griffith. He came up we did a celebration for the 25th anniversary of Hubble up at Griffith in 2015. He was one of our speakers, and I was like, I'm not going to be on the clock from this time to this time because I'm going to go watch him talk. And it was probably one of the best talks I've ever seen. So, and he was a really cool guy. Got to hang with him for a little bit in our back of house area at Griffith. He was very amusing. So, yeah.
Dada, I assume your favorite shuttle is also Endeavor?
Columbia,
It's Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Why is Columbia your favorite orbiter?
the original.
Because it's the original. Ben, do you have that phone number? working?
Is that the...
All right, my mic is up.
I feel like I got to put this back in.
Thank you for calling Space Vidcast, making space commonplace. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it at any time. For a company directory, press 9. Or if you're a call-in guest, please enter your code now. For information on Space Vidcast Epic subscriptions, including new
Epic.
sales, information on the program, and cancellations, press 2. If you'd like to advertise on Space Vidcast during one of our live shows, Space Pods, or launch events, press 3. If you have a space-related event you would like covered by Space Vidcast Production Services, press 4. To find out what your favorite orbiter is, press 5. For general questions...
Oh, does it not work?
I'm sorry. That extension is not recognized.
Oh!
So close! Plus, I forgot we had Tronson do that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was you for a hot minute.
Oh, no.
Like, I
No,
knew
no.
it was Tronson as soon as I heard it, but I thought you were the one who
So
did that.
I know LOL Space Vidcast. So back in the day, you would hit. This was the best part. What used to happen? Again, I've dialed this number in like 5 years.
I know. I'm surprised it's still working.
Probably the first time anyone's dialed this number in 5 years. What used to happen is you'd press 5, and Scott Tronson would go, "Your favorite orbiter is Atlantis," and then hang up on you.
And that was it.
That was it. That was the whole thing.
Nice.
It was amazing.
So the
You're
real reason
such
why
a
I like
dork.
Atlantis is because everyone will always pick. You'll always pick.
Anything other than Atlantis.
Yeah, basically, you always pick. God, what the hell? No.
Discovery?
No, Columbia.
Columbia, or Discovery.
Yeah.
Like, and then a
Almost
few people
always.
are like, oh, Endeavor because it's the newest, but no one ever picked Atlantis. No one ever picked Atlantis. No one ever picked Atlantis.
Ever.
And I'm like, you know what? I've decided we're back at Atlantis on this show. I'm going to find a way to make this happen.
So, by the way,
and I didn't tell anyone that
Incredible.
was the reason for like years.
Years. We had to
And
sit
I
here and
just-
justify Atlantis.
Oh yeah, and
to so many people.
Oh yeah, and I
It
was
was so
hardcore about it.
painful.
It was great.
Previous to that, though, what was your favorite orbiter?
They were all the same. I didn't really have one.
No.
Wow.
That's my line. You can tell he's lying
not
because
true.
he starts to smile.
I always
You saw a shuttle, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I actually saw Atlantis, and
yeah,
the real answer is who everyone's favorite orbiter was almost always, if they had an opportunity to see one,
Yeah.
the first one they saw,
Yeah.
or the last one they saw. The
Right.
first is almost always. I did see Atlantis fly. Also, I always liked the name Atlantis. I just always thought that was kind of cool. I thought, one of the cooler names for an orbiter.
Wasn't it named by
only
kids,
A.
I think?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was. It was the only one named by the public besides Enterprise. So
Yeah, and what a way for the Star Trek community to screw up naming of an orbiter.
It was going to be the Constitution.
It was gonna be
Constitution's lame.
Right, Constitution
Yeah,
is lame.
and I think
Lame.
the Seas have a bad luck because of
Constitution is
Columbia.
lame, but they should have let it remain Constitution and then had a different orbiter
Yeah.
Named
Enterprise, so that it would have actually been a flight-worthy orbiter that actually went to space.
Went to space,
But because they were so aggressive and too soon on it,
Yeah.
they named the thing that never went to space.
But it was the first, and so I think that kind of like at least got a lot of the public excited because they're like, oh, it's like Star Trek, or sorry, Star Wars. No, yeah, Star Trek.
oh my lord, that just happened.
That's allowed.
I'm gonna throw up. I'm throwing.
I want to see what's gonna happen. What's
Dear
gonna happen?
both of you, that is perfectly allowed. If you had to pick your favorite sci-fi franchise, what would it be? And you're allowed to say all of them.
I'm like scared. No, I'm not
No, no,
scared.
no, no,
I'm
no,
gonna say whatever
no,
I
no,
want. But I should say something really random, be like Sharknado.
Sure.
Lisa
I
really
mean-
I say
Works.
Sharknado.
Lisa likes Stargate.
Stargate?
Yeah.
Stargate was really good.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Twilight Zone. That was one of my favorites. I know that's like totally not
yeah.
space related, but some of the episodes were. But the Twilight Zone is actually one of my very favorite ultimate series of anything that's science fiction because I have every single episode recorded on VHS back home.
Nice.
The old black and white with the old commercials.
Yes.
Can you still
Yes.
play it?
Yeah, 'cause I
with
do have
the
a
old
VHS
commercials.
player.
That's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
Yeah.
You know that the
And a converter,
glue on a
too.
VHS tape degrades over time. You're going to want to get those off
We're
of
converting
VHS.
it right now. I have a converter. But yeah,
Do you
I just
watch
think
Black
it's so
Mirror?
cool. I do. I started watching it. And there's an Amazon show. What was it called?
Altered Carbon?
No,
That's
something
the
else.
Netflix one.
Oh, okay.
It's like Black Mirror, though. I just forgot that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something weird. But I was watching it recently and was like, whoa. I'm going to try and look it up.
See, yeah, there's two series that came out right around the same time. and one was Amazon, and one was Netflix, and I keep getting them confused, and we haven't watched either one of them yet.
Oh my gosh.
Is the Amazon one the Philip K. Dick one?
The Amazon one is the Philip K. Dick one, I believe.
Gotcha.
I believe.
Electric Dreams. Yeah, Philip K. Dick. Yeah. Electric Dreams. It's so crazy.
We're too busy watching the new Lethal Weapon to get into. It's like,
so many things
it's not good TV, but it's definitely mindless TV that's fun.
You know what I realized?
They'll shoot a car and somehow it will explode and flip in the air.
Nice.
And you're like, it's exactly what you want them to do, but it's not realistic
So Michael
at all.
Bay's moved on to television.
Yeah, but it's fun because
it
they
flip
shoot
into
a
the air
car
and then kill a building too. Like it just flips up into the air and explodes. Like let's be honest, it's not exactly Michael Bay, but the one thing that Lethal Weapon is doing and is doing correctly is the progression of the overall story.
Yeah.
This was the big debate that we had about Star Trek Discovery. It felt like every single week there was a brand new big bad, and like we defeated it just fine, and the overall story was like huge milestone, huge milestone, huge milestone. Oh, we're done.
It feels like we've gone through 3 seasons of Star Trek Discovery already, and we're only at the end of season 1.
It's kind of like our marriage.
Star Trek.
5 minutes of one episode, and I just couldn't.
You know, it's not.
The acting was terrible.
I don't have a TV.
I haven't seen it. I don't
That's
either.
probably for the best in general, honestly. It's okay. You're not missing a whole lot.
I didn't feel like Star Trek Discovery was bad sci-fi. It's just bad Star Trek.
I haven't seen it. I can watch it.
Yeah, you talked about how the mood is like incorrect.
Destructor 1701 says altered carbon is bad.
I've heard either people love altered carbon or they hate altered carbon and nothing in between.
Yeah.
All right. Space Kyle really likes Star Trek Discovery.
Nice.
You know,
sci-fi reviews.
Star Trek Discovery is good sci-fi. It really is. It's really good. It is good dark sci-fi, but it is not good Star Trek. I love Babylon 5 from my memory, but I can never go back and watch it. And I try. Yeah.
Marty the Martian says Stargate was the funniest sci-fi show, better than Orville. Yeah,
You know, I would agree with that. That's actually kind of insightful.
Yeah, well, because you're only laughing at eyebrow actor. What's his face?
Daniel something Shanks.
Michael Shanks.
Michael Shanks.
Daniel something Shanks.
He's an eyebrow actor. It's terrible. Everything he does is sort of like.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
I probably like it because that's how Twilight Zone was. It's just like,
oh man.
I guess I'm the only person here who my favorite is the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
It's not bad. It's not
the
my
books,
favorite.
the radio show, and the old BBC show, I really like them. So.
Actually, I did like Stargate. It was fun because it didn't take itself too seriously. It knew what it was.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important part of sci-fi is knowing what you are. And I think that's my gripe with Star Trek Discovery is it doesn't know what it is.
Right.
And so the writing is great. I disagree with the acting. I think the acting is actually pretty decent. The acting is good. The problem is the writing is really good, except that I don't care about any of the characters that they want me to care about.
No, yeah, I care about all the characters that
they
they
don't
think
want me
are
to care about.
throwaway
Yeah,
characters.
like Tilly is fun.
Tilly's amazing.
Yep, I like Tilly. The Doctor.
Doctor No Spoilers, yes.
Yeah, the Doctor No Spoilers. Yep, exactly. You saw me catch myself.
Yes.
I was like,
that happened with the
thing, with the thing and the stuff
and the other stuff. Yep.
I loved Galaxy Quest. That was a great. But I want the Orville to be Galaxy Quest as a television series.
Yeah.
That's what I want it to be. And they went too far into dick jokes. And I just needed them to pull it back into
I think they started to pull it back.
They did. I think they've done a lot better.
Did.
And I don't have an issue with blending comedy with my sci-fi. I think when it's done right, it can be really, really good. It's just I don't think they executed quite right in the beginning. But yeah, I actually am enjoying the Orville.
Jared, great answer. But did you like the radio books, towel, TV, or movie?
Yes, I have listened to some of the radio series and seen some of the original BBC series where they were doing the hand-drawn cell animation for the Hitchhiker Guide, the guide entries, and I love it. I also like the movie too, even though people were like, I don't particularly care for the movie, but I like it because Douglas Adams, who wrote the books, did the screenplay for the movie, and every incarnation of it that Douglas Adams worked on, he kind of changed stuff up a little bit. So it wasn't completely unusual that the movie was a little bit different from the books, because the radio series is a little different from the books. The TV series is a little different from the books. It just kind of I think Douglas Adams was really aware of what he needed to change, and to do that, to enable his story to be told through that. So.
What does everyone think of The Expanse?
I haven't watched it.
I don't think have I seen it.
Tickle Stuff likes it.
I stopped watching it. I haven't. I'm not past season 2.
But see, I think that's my fault. I think I discouraged you from that because I couldn't get into it. And we
yeah.
typically either watch things together or don't watch them.
Yeah, that's true.
we have this tendency that it's such a rare occasion when he's watching something that I'm not also watching with him.
Yeah.
And vice versa. When he's out of town, I just don't watch TV.
But when I'm out of town and I'm bored silly at night and there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, but
sometimes
you turn on old Star Trek. Then.
Right now I'm on old Star Trek, but sometimes I'll jump into sci-fi that you're just not interested in.
Yeah.
The Expanse is one of those things that I used to jump into, but we hit season 2 and I couldn't anymore. I just noped out of it. You know what was another fun one was Warehouse 13.
That was fun.
I need to write all these down, man. I haven't watched TV in so long. This is all like on
Yeah,
Netflix
but like Warehouse 13, you don't really have to catch up. I mean, like it's not.
No.
It was cute, but like there's nothing like you have to go back for that. I don't think.
Star Trek, I definitely want to rewatch all of it. That'll be like
the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
I love the rebooted Battlestar Galactica. I thought that was dark sci-fi done really well. Yeah. And there were moments that the writers gave us. I can spoilers now, right? Because it's long
There's
enough.
some that they made you work for.
Yeah. The one that they like. Probably my favorite all-time moment in sci-fi, and I can never go back and rewatch it because it won't be the same. Is when they did the.
I can though because I never watched it the first time.
When they did the FTL out of atmosphere. And the thing is, they made us work for that moment, right? Like we're trudging along.
They did / there was a writer's strike right around that time.
What?
So like a lot of stuff kind of got put in the back burner. So I don't think anything really got written.
I love how you're whispering.
During that time. So then when the writer's strike like lifted, then it was like, oh yeah, we can write stuff. This is cool again. Like I don't know if they had junior writers for an entire effing season.
It was hard.
Like
but
what happened there?
We had to work for that moment.
But sincerely, that was right around that time as well.
That may have been it because it was like, oh, just get on with it. Oh, just get on with it. Oh, just get on with it. Get on with it. Get on with it. And then they were like, you know what? We're gonna get on with it. And they were just like, bam! And they're just like. All at once, and you're just like in that moment. You're because we would have friends over watching it. When it was on television, we're all like, yes. But it was in that moment. When if I were to go back and watch it now, it wouldn't be the same.
Right.
So I can never go back and watch that because it will ruin it for me. Much like Babylon 5.
Ben is talking about Battlestar Galactica. So then this question also came up. Man of Sin. Has anybody seen Westworld?
Westworld's not bad. It's like
I've been wanting to watch it too.
It's like
see, I really like that.
It's good, but it's like
bad.
It's not bad.
It's freaking awesome, dude.
No, it's
making people all the time right in front of your face.
No,
it was a little hard for me at the beginning.
It is HBO, so there's that.
It took. I have a problem with characters again.
See, I didn't because I did it first until. And again, no spoilers. There were items that were dropped that I was not picking up on until they were like, "Hey, did you notice that Jared hasn't had a mohawk for 2 weeks?" And I was like, "No, but I do now." And yes, I knew something was wrong with that. I feel like I could go back and watch Westworld a second time and not feel like, "Oh yeah, I know this part. Oh yeah, I've seen this part. Okay, I know this part." I feel like if I go back the second time, it's gonna go, "Oh, that's where that was." Then that's when it came off, and then that's why. And now I understand.
With the exception of about 2 moments.
No,
I disagree.
Like
there were 2 main moments where they got me. They legitimately, I'm like,
but that's what I'm saying.
But there was a bunch of other stuff that was just like, maybe they were gimmies, but it was just like, called it. But
I think they were baiting you. I think they wanted you to think that you knew what was going on, and then when they finally told you some of the things that were actually going on, you were so busy over here with these red herrings of like, well, I knew that was happening. Okay, that was really cool. And then you finally get back to it, and you're like, I didn't even see this. I didn't even see a door there.
Right. So that doesn't look like anything to me.
Thank you for anyone who's seen it.
I'll buy into that a bit, especially the last moment. Like there were some of those very ending moments
Yeah.
where I thought we had wrapped, but we hadn't wrapped.
Right.
And then they're just like, oh, by the way, cocoon, let me alter your reality. And you go, oh, people are not what I.
This
like,
is not a thing, and that's not a thing, and
good
this is a thing, and I didn't even know that could be a thing, and it is a thing.
Good is bad, and bad is good, and good is good, and bad is good, and I don't know who's what anymore. Yeah, so that was a
Are
really
we the
great.
baddies?
Yeah, like
some of us are, and some of us aren't, but some of us are, but don't realize that we are, and others are, but that we're actually not. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch this now.
Here, it's another one of those where you kind of you do have to trudge through it a little bit, and I guess that's my gripe with it.
I don't think it's too. That's the beauty of it. I think talking about it, it does sound like it's confusing, but I think when you watch it, it doesn't feel that way. It does feel like, okay, I feel like I kind of figured that out, and you're like, oh. I'm pretty smart. I
This is all
did actually
Westworld
figure
we're
this
talking
out.
about, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But then you
They
get
do
to
have
like when you can go back and watch.
They have two really great. Oh shit! They got me moments.
Okay.
That like you just unless you read spoilers,
Oh my gosh.
you will not get. So when you're watching it in real time with the rest of the world, there are no spoilers,
Right.
and so you don't know what's going on. And those were kind of those two moments were quite good, but we did have to work to get there. And
I think if
I don't know.
I think if you were to binge Westworld, you'd have to end with a cigarette and a brownie.
He says, I think if you binge Westworld, you have to end it with a cigarette and a brownie, like a special brownie or just a regular brownie.
All brownies are so good.
Because I mean, this is California
It is.
twins.
It's
You have to specify that. So,
all right, what's the next one?
I don't know. Actually, I was fighting with you so much. I'm so sorry.
what about Blade Runner?
Haven't actually
No,
Firefly.
no spoilers because I haven't.
There was a
I
lot about
haven't seen.
Firefly. Yeah.
Because I love both of the Blade Runner movies.
I haven't.
I
seen
was
either
like,
Blade
at the
Runner
sequel, I was like, oh great, here we go. Hollywood's just making another sequel to make a sequel. But no, it was like.
Never got into either one of them, but I never really tried either.
movie. I also never saw the original Tron.
I saw parts of it as a kid. I couldn't get into it.
I think as an adult, I understand Tron a little bit better. Oh.
All the VFX for that, and
Ah.
he did it like all by hand.
The original
Wow.
then?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think.
It had like a physical table, and since there were no like viewports
Mm.
to reference the VFX on, he had to just like do math in his head, and I was like,
That's crazy.
Bill Clinton's crazy.
Wow.
Firefly was one where I did not watch it when it was on the air because I was like, that looks like the dumbest sci-fi I've ever
Because
seen.
they
ever.
marketed it. It's so
They
terrible.
did, and then someone told me, someone who I respect with sci-fi reviews,
Yeah.
was like, "No, you are wrong. You need to watch it, and you need to watch 3 episodes. You're not allowed to judge it until 3 in." I'm like, "All right," and so I did. And after the 3rd one, I'm like, "This is the best sci-fi ever!" And
and
it's
that's our
up there.
general rule of thumb now for anything new that we watch.
3. You gotta watch
You've got to
3.
get through 3 episodes. If you can't get through 3 episodes,
You can
I was
dump
gonna
it.
say,
then you can dump it.
I went through about half of the Firefly, and I was just like, I don't really care for this.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I appreciate it for what it is, but it's just not my cup of tea.
It's
So,
Space Cowboys,
Yeah.
kinda. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sci-fi reviews of tomorrow. That'd be kind of fun.
that'd be neat.
I gotta do a lot of watching before the next episode. I don't know what any of these things are. I mean, I know all these shows
it'd be
you guys
like
talk about.
it'd be like on our morning
I
show
don't
where they
see why
make a
not.
millennial watch an old school movie.
Oh, my
We could
goodness,
do the same thing to
yes.
you. Be like, all right, your homework is to watch Firefly.
Oh,
Come
my
back and give us a
gosh.
report when. Yeah, that'd
Yes.
be amazing. Yep.
That would be so much fun. That would actually be really cool. I'd be like, where's the phone?
So-
Where's the iPhone? How come they're taking selfies with like a camcorder? With like a Fiji film. What's happening?
Oh, that's so good.
Stranger Things. Someone mentioned Stranger Things. I know that.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Oh, right. I forgot to put. You could
Oh, you're just
do that
fine.
thing.
You're totally fine.
All right, I'm toast.
We're done.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm toast. I
Yeah,
can't
the
do
Momo
anymore.
cheese.
I'm sorry, Jared.
I have to go do a talk about James Webb tonight too. So.
Oh, you have to do more talking.
Like the telescope or the person?
The telescope. So.
Person in the telescope.
Which involves me to explain who the person is. So 'cause a lot of people don't know who James Webb is. So.
That's so
But he was really important.
That's why we named Telescope after him.
Yeah.
Get some wellness formula. If you drive by Whole Foods, they sell it. You'll literally
I'll
take
try.
3 of them. You'll feel so much better. I swear. Like you'll be cured.
Placebo effect.
Actually, I wanted this one. There you go.
It's not placebo effect.
Placebo effect.
Not.
Farscape?
It does so many trial and errors on things.
Farscape?
Oh yeah, Farscape. Farscape was good once he moved to the black shirts.
Farscape.
It took him a while. It was like a year in.
Well, and there was like, then there were episodes where it was like black shirt, white shirt, black shirt, white shirt, black shirt.
Because
white
I don't
shirt,
think
like-
they aired them in order, or there was something
Something
about
like
like they moved between something. So yeah, but really only when he's in the only in the black shirts. Pilot.
Someone wrote hippie health foods. Ew. Hey, if it works.
There you go.
That's funny.
Elon's new toaster, yay or nay?
Yay.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Obviously, yay.
We were literally just talking about it.
Right?
Yeah, definitely yay.
What the hell?
Goes in my
I
humidifier.
got shocked by the sink twice.
Oh, is that what you
At
were?
my cup.
Do I need to bring a
Talking
humidifier in here? That should.
I'll bring my Darth Vader humidifier.
You have a Darth-
There we go.
I'll legit bring it.
I feel like we need to buy like 10 of them and just have 10 Darth Vader humidifiers. Just
That
all
would be
steep-
so good.
Yeah.
Can we light
What's
them up
happening
too?
with the plants? Can we eat them?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
please
you can
do,
eat the
as a matter of
plants.
fact.
Can I go
because-
eat one right now?
Yeah,
let's see
actually,
what-
we
Really?
need to cull the lettuce constantly, apparently.
Ooh, no dying.
Sorry.
That was
technology.
super scary pants.
I thought it was in my pocket. I'm sorry.
I mean, it was
Is it
close to-
okay? It's not broken, is it?
No, you're fine.
it's fine.
It works. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've done far worse.
Oh, goodness,
Yay.
yes.
You can eat the lettuce. The other things are still.
Samantha?
Yeah, Samantha is.
What's with the
I have
names?
20, Ben.
We had
Planty
it.
plant face?
Oh.
Yeah.
There's 20.
Like Bodie McBoat face.
What are they, though?
So when we planted those, we didn't know what they were. We just randomly put the pods into the thing, and so then it was a contest to see who would grow first, essentially.
Okay.
So Samantha is a strawberry, obviously, because
Obviously,
it's a strawberry plant.
duh.
It's kind of bitter.
Is it?
This
Is
one,
the
yeah.
lettuce?
Oh no,
The
Yeah.
lettuce. I know it is bitter, right? Because I tasted it.
I don't know,
It's
Ben.
like the
That's
weird-
because Ben watered it.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah, like
a
the
good one.
ends of it was like deep fried. It was like
Put
all
more point in
crunchy.
how that would be the ticker. The ticker on the bottom. The banner on the bottom. How wrong is Ben today?
It tastes dirt now.
What, on the lettuce?
Yeah. I know.
That doesn't make sense.
Why don't you try it?
One of, like,
Tastes
the
like
top
dirt.
pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's by collecting dust from the room.
Oh, it might be. Oh, there's like an MDF layer.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Oh,
you
yeah.
go.
So
They're compulsing.
this entire set is, yeah, you might. This entire set is made out of MDF, and there is footage of Dutta, working a saw, cutting all of this stuff, and then there's just like this death cloud of MDF that absorbs the room for an extended amount of time. But I'm not convinced that death cloud has actually fully dissipated yet, which is why I will not allow any fire for tomorrow's science, because the moment you light a match in here, the air itself will catch fire from the MDF particulate, because we're actually breathing wood right now. You just don't know it.
On that note.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, I don't even think like rinsing the lettuce.
The lettuce would do anything.
Though, because
No.
the flavors like in the lettuce. Because I tasted the lettuce too, and I was like, this does not taste like
Yeah, because I bit the part that like attached to the stem. Because I figured that would be like the part that actually was the most freshest, that wasn't actually really
but it's-
absorbing anything. But
it's a weird bitter taste.
it was weird. Yeah, I was like, maybe it's supposed to be like this. Needs salad dressing.
There you go.
That's why everyone uses salad dressing anyway.
Tomorrow morning. I do like tomorrow morning.
I don't know. It just feels like this is your brain on drugs. This is your morning on tomorrow.
When I'm fired from SpaceX, it's not a question of if, but when.
Wow.
Hey man, I'm only one button press away. MDF equals regular. Only one button press away from being fired at any moment in time. Not intentionally, mind you. It'll be me screwing something up, like replicating the booster twice on this. Mumble, mumble. Which did not happen. You can check the archive. It's obviously not in the archive. All right, we done?
Cool.
We off the air?
Sure.
Press the buttons.